Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your attention, and I believe that if you stay with us, you're going to be inspired and educated. I have a half a dozen speakers that are here doing fireside chats with me. We're here in the Golden VIP Lounge at the PlayStation Theater in Times Square in New York. And this is the NFT.NYC event. And it's a 12-hour crazy event, 85 speakers on the main stage, obviously lots of panels. And then I'm doing some more fireside chat formats with some of the VIPs like yourself.
Well, thank you.
So yes, of course. So tell me and those that are watching about yourself and your company.
Hi guys, my name is Olive Allen. I'm a founder and CEO of Decadent. I'm a former artist and avid gamer. So I'm here because I'm really passionate about NFTs and what the future holds for this unique digital asset class. And that's what my platform is actually doing. I mean, we're dealing with NFTs. Not exactly dealing, but more of giving an opportunity people to display and trade the items.
Okay, and your company is new on the calendar, but with the things accelerating so fast, you're already on pace for getting some things done. So tell me about what do you want to accomplish this year? Like December 31st, 2019, what would be the goal of your company?
Well, find product market fit.
That's key. For everybody watching and listening, you need product market fit. Don't tell the market what they need. Find out what they need and give it to them.
Yes, exactly. Right. That's a realistic goal, I think.
Yes. So how did you find about this event and become a speaker? Tell me the story of how you got here.
Well, one of my close friends that is working in the industry suggested that I speak at this event, and he connected me to the organizers. pretty much, yeah. And here I am in New York.
Great. And how's the experience been for you? Has it met your expectations? Like, how's today been so far?
Well, exceeded my expectations. In fact, I haven't realized there are so many people in New York that actually care about NFTs. I mean, everybody's here. And New York blockchain, like, everybody's pretty much like made an effort, came here today. Some people flew in, and there are tons of young, passionate people. It's like I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I am as well. It's been great.
Crypto winter. It's crypto winter. I mean, we all know that, right?
Well, it doesn't appear that way here. It's oversold. Several hundred people are attending. 85 speakers. I mean, it's electric. It just is nonstop energy. Very, very fun.
Well, it is fun, like for sure.
Now, as far as future events, what would you like to see the organizers of this event do in a season or in a year? What would you like to see NFT.NYC 2020 be like? The exact same thing, or are there tweaks and changes that can be made that you like, oh, that would make it even better?
Oh, well, in terms of event, I mean, they can always be better, but they can definitely be worse. I think this event is great. I think going down the line, I want to see more like enthusiasts not from crypto world, but from the regular world. People who actually make games, consumers, and like just enthusiasts. And I want to see more interactive installations. I think that's the key. But other than that, I mean, I love the conference.
It's great. And tell me about your panel. What did you talk about, and how did it go?
It was NFT gaming panel. We discussed a number of topics that, I mean, you can fit in 20 minutes, not much, but two important ones. So the present situation, the issues we're dealing with while building games or building platforms that trade the assets. And what we're looking forward and what the future holds. I mean, basically shared our predictions. Yeah.
That's great. Tonight I'm doing the last talk about 2024, right? NFT 2024, right? The future of NFT, blockchain. And one of my goals was to talk with you and the other speakers and find out what you think about the future, so I could kind of absorb that and share that tonight. So NFT 2024, what do you think? What do you hope for?
Wow, 2024. Actually, I'm very hopeful. It's like 5 years down the line. I think definitely by then NFTs are going to be a mainstream thing. It's going to be really an asset class of its own, and way more people being interested. I feel like this conference is going to be like way bigger, and I want to see a lot of. Well, no, I'm probably not going to be a lot of successful projects, but there are going to be several that made it big and really managed to engage the audience and make it meaningful.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And one of the things I wanted to ask is there a question you wish I asked that you wanted to answer to make sure if there's anything you wanted to share, you have a moment to do so?
Well, that's a tricky one. I think you covered it all pretty much. Great job. You did a great job.
Oh, well,
yeah.
You did a great job.
Oh.
I'm just providing opportunity for you to shine. Let me ask one other thing. We'll go back to go forward. Let's say 1,000 years ago, a queen gets a vision for a castle. Now, it might take 325 years to build that castle. That means the queen is committing her family and her people to generation after generation after generation of working with no benefit or payoff, right? That means that for hundreds of years, dozen generations, they're all going to face adversity, face hardship, face trial, invest money, and never enjoy it because it's a castle for the future. What in your career is the castle that you want to build that you're like, I may never see the benefit of it because it may not be real until 2600, but it's something that's worth my energy, my time, my money to be a part of building this thing?
Well, basically the better future, and I always dreamt of the virtual world where things are possible, when you can be whoever you want to be. It's sort of like Ready Player One Oasis. I think it's more than possible, not in 3,000 years, hopefully in 10, 15 years as it is in the movie. Definitely. That's one of the things. And another thing, I'd like to contribute to culture and culture of future generations. Art and culture are very important to me, always been. And whatever I do, I try to be mindful of that I'm creating for the future. It's not about right now, but it's for bigger, better tomorrow, if you may.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for joining me for this brief interview.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for your attention. We're going to cut to a quick video and be right back with another interview. We'll see you in a moment. That was great. I've thought through NFTs in a 5-year and 25-year mindset. Like, where can this be in 5 years with the pace of technology? I think live sports could potentially be the greatest benefactor. Of course, I mean the fans of live sports and those that like to play live games that are live sport-esque, right? Not just video games, but play golf with Tiger Woods, play baseball against the best pitcher, play against Steph Curry one-on-one basketball. And when you watch Steph Curry play basketball, I imagine a future where his basketball is tokenized and every single shot is tokenized as a one-time token that's attached to a blockchain video game or several blockchain video games. You can purchase that, you can play that special move, you can sell that when you're done with the game. I've thought a lot through where this can go. I mean, you imagine the Olympics, right? Olympics, 2040. And you imagine the Olympics 2040, all those games are live, every single experience is being tokenized, probably attached to the Olympics 2040 video game, and people are playing with the Olympians, and they're creating their own tokens from their playing. They're watching Olympians, they're creating them, collect them as collectibles, or as, it's going to be very interesting. I don't think it'll be speculative investing. I think people are going to create tokens that have real value to themselves and those that they trade them to or sell them to, and there will be a life cycle of these tokens to have ongoing value based on utility. Welcome to the brilliant golden VIP room here at the PlayStation Theater. We are at NFT.NYC.
Having a great time.
We are laughing and enjoying ourselves just as I promised to you.
That's true.
And this place is electric. There are a dozen hours we had to cram 85 speakers into the stage. Obviously lots of panels, and that's why we created this experience here to have more one-on-one conversations with the real VIPs like yourself.
Oh, thank you so much.
So tell us about yourself and the company that you work at.
Yeah, so my name is Leah Jonas. I work at Celsius Network. We are a borrowing and lending platform within a wallet. So we allow crypto interest, and we also allow you to take out fiat loans against your crypto. And we also have Sell Pay, which allows you to send crypto to anybody, even if they don't have a wallet, which is pretty awesome.
That's very awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, and I met your CEO.
Yeah.
Amazing person.
Electric is a great word, and I'm going to steal it from you because he is definitely an electric person and very inspiring to work with. So,
tell me a bit about the culture that he's built and how he's empowered you and others around you.
Yeah, I think it's a very important thing to any company, right? You hear culture over and over, and I've worked in tech for quite some time, and oftentimes it's a word that is just thrown out there as kind of a label. And Alex has been one of the first people that really showed me what that meant. He empowers everybody that he works for, and I like to say that he will give you as much. He almost believes in you more than you believe in yourself sometimes. And I think that that's so important because we actually have over 50% women in our company. And oftentimes I think that, in the tech industry, we're so underrepresented that me as a female, like, I don't always believe in myself as much as I probably should. And he treats all of us the same, and not only that, but really gives you a lot of leeway to go after what you want to do, initiatives, projects, and I think that's the kind of culture that really matters. I've worked at companies that had like pool tables, and that's not culture. The culture is having leaders that truly believe in you and give you the empowerment to move the company forward.
Yeah. Tell me about the culture of this event.
Yeah.
right? I mean, you must have had expectations. Hopefully they were met.
Yeah.
Tell me about what's this been like today?
I think it's been awesome. What I really enjoy is that oftentimes we're in a bubble, right? I go to so many conferences where it's the exact same people, the exact same things being said, and I met so many people today that were interested in crypto, were not necessarily involved in it, a lot of people that were from overseas, and I think that that is what you want to see, because we need to be asked the tough questions. If everybody sits up on a panel and says, like, awesome, you agree with me, I agree with you, let's go out, let's go drink, like whatever they're going to say. But I think that ultimately we need to be asked tough questions, and we need new blood, and we need people with innovative ideas, and that's really what I found here today, which is awesome.
That's great. And what about future events that Peel Browser and OpenSea and Celsius put on?
Yeah.
Like in a season, in a year?
Yeah.
Of course, there's certain things you want to stay the same.
Yeah.
But other things maybe you'd like to see morphed or change. Like what would you like to see happen with NFT-focused blockchain events as time progresses?
I would like to see more hybrids of blockchain and crypto being melded into mainstream conferences. I think you see some of it now, but in most cases you see like a blockchain panel. And it's not really being discussed on the main stage or being discussed amongst people that aren't necessarily involved in it. I would love to see, it not be a blockchain conference, but it be a tech conference or a healthcare conference or an art conference, and there is, a discussion around the innovative technology that's coming into that industry, as opposed to us putting ourselves in a silo.
Yeah, that's great. December 31st, 2019. By the end of the year, what are your personal goals? What are your corporate goals?
Yeah. So I think that from a corporate standpoint, for Celsius, we are really excited to introduce a lot of transparency. So obviously we do a lot of borrowing and lending, and we're really pulling back the curtain on some financial products that the everyday person doesn't get to see, right? And I think that it's our job as innovators in the space to produce transparency and actually show the everyday person, okay, no, we're not, we're not doing fractional reserve, we're not leveraging ourselves. We're really setting a standard and a precedent for what finances can be. So personally, not personally actually, as a company, we're looking to create as much transparency as possible and really build confidence that way. Personally, oh man, I think it's so aligned with Celsius. I think that anybody in this industry can tell you that, your life is your work and your work is your life. We wouldn't be in this industry, especially now in the middle of a pretty long bear market, if we didn't believe in this with our entire heart and soul. So I would like to see, the women or the industry have more women in it, have more diversification, have more voices, and I would love to kind of bring those in. And I think it is up to like other females in the space to kind of foster that and bring their friends, their networks, and their moms and their aunts and like everybody in. So I guess my goal would be to convert all the women in my family to crypto.
That's a noble goal. I love that. Tonight I'm speaking about NFT 2024, 5-year predictions or 5-year aspirations for this industry. And I didn't want it to be about just what I thought, so that's one reason I set this room up, was to ask you and your peers, what do you think about the future of this industry, and what are you building toward, what are you hoping for, so that as I learn from you, I can hopefully share some of that inspiration with others? Yeah,
it's a great question. So I think I see decentralization as a sliding scale, right? My personal belief is that you cannot introduce full decentralization and also garner mass adoption at the exact same time, because there's so many people in the general public that don't want to hold their own personal, like they're not ready for that responsibility yet. So 5 years out, I really hope to see really good actors supported today and grow this industry today, and then move towards decentralization. So 5 years from now, I would love to see scalable decentralization being introduced to the public on a base layer in which it's not as clunky, but they've already been introduced to the industry or to the, I guess, the movement as a whole, I guess we could call it. because we do need them in order to move forward, and in order to get them, we do need some centralization and some, training wheels, so to speak. But in 5 years, I would love to see true decentralization happen, or at least be on the path towards that.
That's great. Is there a question you wish I would have asked that you wanted to answer?
I always hate that question. I guess it would be, I don't have a good question. I don't have a good question. I think you covered all of the really good questions in the industry. Yeah.
Well, let me take you back 1,000 years
Okay.
to bring you forward, and we'll end with that.
Okay.
So 1,000 years ago,
Yeah.
a queen
Yeah.
or an innovator or an artist, but we'll stick with the queen, right? A leader of people, a leader of a region.
Yeah.
She may have a vision for a castle.
Yeah.
Now that castle might take hundreds of years to build.
Yeah.
She literally may be committing several generations to toil, hardship, sacrifice, and investment into something that they will never ever enjoy.
Right.
It's for their distant descendants, their region, their tribe, their people.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily have that mentality
Yeah.
in today's fast-paced world.
Right.
For you, for your career, for
Yeah.
the legacy of your life, what castle do you want to build that you may never actually enjoy because it may not see its full fruition until 2400?
Yeah.
But what is it that would be a worthy pursuit for you to invest your life and career into?
Oh, definitely the spread of wealth. I think that the huge amount of disparity created by the systems that we currently have in place, whether it's big data, AI, it's really, I think, fractionalizing, or it's fracturing our social fabric in so many ways. And I truly believe that this technology and what we're working on has the ability to raise up underdeveloped areas, underserved areas. I think that it's a fight that we're fighting. I don't think it's a given in any way, shape, or form. I think that every single one of us needs to be aware that we need to put our effort and our money and our kind of our heart behind the good actors, because it's not guaranteed. But if I lived out my entire life and I was able to, we were able to take Celsius to underdeveloped areas to do microloans backed by, capital in the U.S. regulation not applying, because obviously that's a hefty goal. I would be happy, right? The ability for us to use this technology for good, to not create these huge monopolies and actually break down some of that, and allow not just the middle class in America or the lower class in America, but all over the world to benefit by spreading this wealth through this technology, that would make me happy. If I could fast forward in 20 years and know that my kids are, are better off for it, then my life is well worth it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me for this brief interview. Thank you, Facebook and YouTube, for joining us, and Twitter and Instagram and all these social channels. We appreciate your attention. We're going to roll a quick video, and we'll be right back.
Awesome.
That
Thank
was
you.
fun. That was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, we're good. We got it. Okay.
If you had to put on your futurist hat and just make some predictions, like what could the non-fungible token market be like in 5 years, like NFT 2024?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I'm convinced that NFTs in general are going to bring crypto assets in general to mainstream consumers, right? So I think cryptocurrencies are very hard to grab, because when you talk about Bitcoin, you have, economic aspects, political aspects, a lot of stuff to really understand, cryptocurrency. When you talk about NFT, I like to call them crypto goods sometimes. It's more tangible, and you can have crypto goods that are officially licensed, for instance. So you have an emotional connection to them. It's much more tangible for mainstream people. So I think that NFTs are going to bring crypto assets in general to mainstream first. And 5 years from here, what I think fascinating, is the intersection of VR and NFTs. Like you walk, in Decentraland, you look at the gallery, you buy an NFT. I think that really the intersection of these two cutting edge technologies is going to produce like endless applications and use cases and fascinating experiences for users.
Welcome to the Golden VIP room. I'm here with the legendary Alan, one of the speakers here at NFT.NYC. We are inside the PlayStation Theater in Times Square in New York. It is snowing outside, but the electricity in this place is on fire, I guess you'd say, and keeps me warm. So in that room over there behind you, Facebook and YouTube and other social channels, is a room filled with attendees, 85 speakers in a 12-hour period. And so I wanted to create an environment to spend time with people like you and just have more of an informal fireside chat. So thank you for joining me.
Awesome.
Can you tell me and everybody watching who you are and what you do?
So hi, my name is Alan. I have been an early stage investor for quite a while. So I usually try to pay attention on what will be the next kind of technology trend and new products coming up.
Yeah.
And specifically for NFT wise, I think when you get to see there's a lot of potential there. And I think that while it may be a little overhyped some ways, I think there are many interesting products that are being made at the right now. So for example wise, you get to see a lot of existing fungible tokens are actually moving towards non-fungible tokens around a year ago. So one of the projects I was also helping, and but yeah, there's like for example, Decentraland eventually also issue NFT, and you got to see 0x are supporting NFT under version 2 last year at this time. You get to see a lot of interesting projects like SpankChain. They were kind of experimenting with something called CryptoTitties. I don't know whether you're familiar, but that you get to see a lot of these people who understand what are the cool things about NFT. And you also I started to pay attention to a lot of really cool projects that see what, like, for example, like NFT became popular after CryptoKitties, but you got their projects that are trying to focus on improving what CryptoKitties didn't do beforehand. Yeah. So their projects are trying to create a better community experience and try to make the NFT itself to be more usable in games. So you get to see projects like Axie Infinity. That's actually one of the cool projects in the space. Yeah. We also back a company called Gods on Chain. It's actually, have you seen the game? Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the founders are probably one of the best in the space on how to understand the potential of NFT and create a business model, distribution mechanism, and products around that thing. And I think that there are more and more kind of players coming in now, but it's just interesting to see how people are taking this NFT to the next level. And a lot of examples I make earlier are games at the moment. I think that NFT it's a lot of value. If it's tied to real asset wise, it's kind of just about the same, to be frank. So there's a lot of very cool, but I think that this year wise, we already saw a lot more crypto gaming company that are trying to taking advantage of this, and I can only imagine there being more of these cases coming up soon.
Now, how'd you find out about this event? Why'd you come? And has it met expectations?
So I have been actually involved with the past few major NFT events, but like the OpenSea guys are really impressive. You know, they're really good guys in the space, and was able to join in and have fun, I guess. And this is a really cool venue. I think this interview is kind of interesting too. Yeah.
I like it. I like that you're part of it.
Yeah.
So as far as this event goes, you've been a part of others. How would you like to see the NFT events evolve in the next season and year? Like when OpenSea and People Browser do another event together, let's just say NFT 2020, right? What would you love to see similar? Like, gosh, they nailed this. And what would you love to see maybe more if they're changed or added or maybe subtracted that you think would provide more value to the attendees and speakers?
I actually think that this event is already well done. I think that the industry is so growing. I think that, I don't know, it's a pretty well-run event. I think it's just how do we help support the industry moving forward, and then that will naturally help the event bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So, again, this is already a well-done event and interview. So,
What kind of deal flow are you looking for? You're early stage investors, so which entrepreneurs or teams are you looking to like get to know and talk with? And
for NFT specifically, or for
it doesn't have to be. I mean, obviously it'd be better for you to talk in the blockchain sphere, but NFT is closer. But whatever, I don't really care. I'm interested in what you're looking for.
So I think the best projects are the ones who understand, are building the product but who wants to build a specific product, but also are building the infrastructure around it. Those are the most likely companies who will become successful long run. And for NFT specifically wise, I was really interested on people creating games on top of it. And I think that by focusing on that wise, you could tell who are actually thinking more about NFTs, how to utilize them well. I think the industry has also changed a little bit too. So we start to see I think the NFT as a concept is also kind of blending with fungible token as well. So I think that, the other interesting thing is that I think a lot of more and more, people sometimes say blockchain is kind of like multiple kind of industry combining together. I think for NFT wise, this is also very true as well. So
It's good. December 31st, 2019, 10 months from now, what do you want to accomplish? What do you want the companies you've invested in to accomplish? Like your world, what thing or things you're like, I really want to see these things happen this year. This would be success for us.
What do I want to see? What do I imagine will be successful 2019?
Just this year. Yeah,
this year.
What's your hope for this year in terms of what would be success for you, your company, your investments, I'm trying to get an idea of what's the focus for this calendar year?
This calendar year, I guess, is breaking through. Breaking through. I guess a lot of projects are breaking through right now, so it will be interesting to see how, by the end of the year, how much that breakthrough would affect the space in general. And I am sure that everyone learns from each other, so maybe that will have a viral effect coming up soon, and will be interesting to see, to be frank. Yeah.
Now, is there a question you wish I would have asked that you wanted to answer?
I guess, what are some weird things that you think NFT could also do?
I like that. So answer that question.
I do think that right now, wise, most of the, I think this space is so new. It's very unclear on how the space will develop forward, and I think everyone's kind of watching but don't know how. But I think eventually, wise, once there's more and more these NFT successful projects coming out that could be as good as or rival CryptoKitties, that kind of level, I think that we will start to see new forms of communities, new forms of fun, and that excites me. I think that, new kinds of project behavior, and I'm already seeing that happening. So hopefully we'll see that sooner, I guess.
I'm talking tonight about NFT 2024, 5-year predictions or aspirations or hopes. So on the final keynote, it's one reason why I built this room, was to ask you and your peers, hey, what do you think? It's a reason why I interviewed a bunch of people and made 104 videos for all those interviews before the event, was to find out what does a collective thought on what we're driving towards. So my question to you, and I hope you inspire me so I can kind of bring a little bit of that tonight, is NFT 2024, even blockchain 2024, what is it that you're hopeful for or want to see built or anticipate will happen in the next 5 years?
I think that if you ask people about a year ago about NFT, it's actually it's not really there yet. I think that this thing is going to be more and more viral, and I think that even though there was over expectation, I think 5 years from now, I think you will start to see like this organism become a lot more, I call it organism, a lot more, like it would probably evolve a couple times already. So I don't know, we'll see. I could imagine good things and bad things, but yeah, it will be certain interesting to see when that happens. What should we do with it?
Yeah. Well, the last thing I'll ask you is, we'll go back 1,000 years.
Okay.
To go forward, and it's going to be more of a personal question about legacy. So 1,000 years ago, innovator, a king, an artist has vision and creates something. Let's just go with the king, right? The emperor, whatever that ruler, that leader is in that region. And they have a vision for a castle. They say, I've decided we're going to build a castle, we're going to build a temple, we're going to build something of great significance that will take centuries to build. That leader is making a decision to not only invest his life, his people, his time, his resources, face adversity, and overcome hardship, but it's for generations and generations from now that will ever enjoy it, right? 300 years to build the castle, as an example. For you in your career, what type of legacy are you trying to build? What are you willing to invest your life, energy, and time into, even though it may never come to fruition until 2300? Like, what's the big thing or things that you're going after, but you're like, I mean, I know that's like a far off distance, but it's still worth my career and my energy, my investment to try and get there eventually?
This is a really interesting question about, I guess, that goal, but I'm going to randomly talk about, if you look at one of the people who can actually preserve history the longest is Egyptians. Egyptians built pyramids that actually still last a very long time. I think at the time-wise, they are obsessed with being eternal, the concept of eternal. And I think that a lot of things we build, if you strive for that vision, I think that that actually could be more of that. And I think a lot of people in the space-wise, sometimes they look at things from a too short-term perspective. But at the same time-wise, you also have to keep that execution. So what do I see a lot of good people in the space that have that kind of execution and vision, and I hope that more of these people are not being ignored by other kinds of people in the short who are, so, yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you for joining me for this brief chat. Thank you for tuning in and giving us your attention. We appreciate it. And we're going to roll a quick video and be right back with another interview.
Thank you.
That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for joining me.
How was it? Good? Bad?
Yeah, oh no, you were great.
I'm personally most interested in media content, right? So I think that whether it's art or whether it is a digital photo or anything or a song, right, that you can treat this as something unique. What's really interesting is if you think about the old days, if I had an LP, physical record, if I wanted to, I could sell that to you. Right? You might not buy it, but either way, we recognize it. And you can sell. You can take a book and you can sell a second-hand book. In the digital world, we couldn't do that because, at least up until now, because it was recognized that it could be ultimately regulated. So that's when we brought the digital rights management into the system, and the entire model got built around litigating against abuses of people's copyright. Now we can represent, right, in the same way that an LP is a physical asset, a unique digital asset. I can sell that to you.
Yes.
And you couldn't have that before. That to me is the power of a non-fungible token.
Non-fungible tokens since 1990. this space, why I'm so excited about it now, is our industry is desperately in need of killer applications. And so my focus is in this area and the handful of others where I envision near-term, practical, scalable use cases for blockchain. So I'm all in on NFTs.
Welcome to the Golden VIP Lounge here at the PlayStation Theater in Times Square, New York. This is NFT.NYC, and the purpose of this conversation is to have more of a fireside chat format with the VIPs that are attending this event. Several hundred people have registered. It's a 12-hour event with 85 speakers, so you can imagine for those that are watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, maybe tuning in through LinkedIn through a share, this is a jam-packed experience, and so this creates a little bit more of an opportunity to get to know each person individually that we are able to bring in. So please tell me and those watching about yourself and what you do.
Sure. My name is Rish Lotlikar. I'm the co-founder of Superworld. Superworld is a social augmented reality platform that's on the blockchain.
Great. And how did you find out about this event, and why did you come?
You know, I really came because I understood that, you know, NFTs are really, you know, a very interesting class on the blockchain, and you know we're doing an NFT product at Superworld, selling digital real estate. So I wanted to come here and meet other partners and investors and others in the community that could really help us kind of, you know, further develop what we're building as a product and meet others that are doing the same.
That's great. And how's this met expectations? Like, you must have come here with hope, expectation of what today would be. What's the experience been like for you?
Yeah, it's been great because, you know, I think this is the epicenter of this field right now, and you know, you meet a lot of the people that are innovating in the NFT space, and so for me, it's been very educational, very inspirational. Got to share a lot of stories and learn from each other, and we're, you know, raising capital right now as well, so opportunity to meet investors that we can talk to, so it's been good.
That's great.
Yeah.
And December 31st, 2019, so the end of this year, what do you want to accomplish? What would make this a successful year for you and your company?
Sure. So, you know, we're selling digital land in Superworld. So, you know, users can buy digital plots of land and therefore share in any augmented reality advertising or transactions that happen in the land that they buy. We're seeing really good user activity. So, you know, all of Times Square is already sold. So where we're standing has already been bought by someone. You know, lots of Austin and LA and London and Hong Kong is being bought up. So what we'd like to do is sell more of the world and get the word out that superworldapp.com is where you can go and buy digital land. And we're creating a monopoly in the real world. So you can buy and sell that land. And it's all linked to our ad network. So what we'd like to do at the end of this year, by the end of this year, is sell a lot more land and get more people on the platform.
Great. What question would you have liked me to ask that I haven't asked that you wanted to answer?
Sure. So, you know, I think that what I'd like to tell you is, you know, what the vision behind Superworld is. So what we'd like to do is, you know, create a world that is very personalized to any person that's on the platform. So basically, you're creating a world that I can experience. I could walk around New York and see things that you've left for me. I can also enter brands, so I can see Nike's world, or you know, Ford Motor Cars world, or any world for that matter. And so, you know, there's an opportunity in augmented reality and the use of an NFT on the blockchain to bring all those things together. So now you can actually own parts of that world, and it's all decentralized. So that's the beauty of it.
That's awesome. Tonight, I'm speaking about NFT 2024. It's kind of the final, you know, keynote. And one reason I set this room up, and one reason why I interviewed a bunch of people before the event, made all those videos, was to find out from the VIPs, the speakers, and all of your peers, like, what do you envision 5 years from now? And then kind of collect all that information and try to deliver it in a very concise way that will inspire those that are involved in the industry. So NFT 2024, what are you hoping for? What are you building toward? What are you predicting in the next 5 years?
You know, this is a very interesting class on the blockchain of products, and you know, I think NFTs are going to become very mainstream. And you know, like any digital collectible and any collectible before that in the more traditional sense, I think that as more adoption takes place, as they enter the mainstream, you know, I think the word NFT might even, you know, become more normal in our vernacular. So, you know, it would just be like I own the digital land, and you don't even have to define it in a technical way as we do now, because it will become so mainstream and so understood that it becomes part of every conference, everything. So I think that's kind of where we're going. And with Superworld specifically, we're kind of integrating all of those elements. So it's not just land, but we want to be able to incorporate other digital products into Superworld and things in the future. Okay. So
the last thing I'll do is I'll take you back 1,000 years to take you forward, and really try to get into a legacy mindset. So here's how I'll frame it. 1,000 years ago, or as many millennia as you want to go back, the great leaders of the world, let's say the innovators, right? The kings, the artists, the emperors, but let's stick with kings. They want to build a castle. So a man with a tremendous amount of responsibility, massive tribe, a region that they oversee, says, we're going to build this new castle. Now that castle might take several hundred years to build. That means that leader is committing not only him and his kingdom, but kingdoms after kingdoms after kingdoms that will follow him, that will build a castle that one day some people will enjoy, his descendants that he'll never meet. Today, I think people are in a rush. I don't think people are very patient. I think people are also kind of focused on what's in it for them, and not necessarily what's in it for their descendants or, you know, the generations to come and humanity far off. So my question for you is legacy. Like, what would you be willing to face adversity for and invest money in, and your life and your time, and overcome hardship, even if you never see the fruit of it, but it's a worthy pursuit for your career and your time?
Yeah, you know, I think that's kind of how we feel about what we're building at Superworld. Is, again, you know, we're wanting to build a world that and everyone can enjoy in their own personal understanding of what that is. And we're very committed to that mission because, you know, I think the opportunities utilizing XR, AR, VR, MR, you know, all these new technologies around us on top of blockchain can give us that flexibility to, you know, have that, you know, utopia or whatever we imagine that we want to create, whether it's education, whether it's, you know, entertainment, whether it's lifestyle kinds of things, anything you want. And so that is something that we're committed to, because I think that is something that will last for a long time, and you know, everyone can enjoy regardless of where you live in the world.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad that you did. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to roll to a 1-minute video and then come back with another interview. We really appreciate your attention. We'll be right back. Awesome.
Yeah,
that was
so
great.
much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, my name is Ian Utile, and I am hosting a brief interview for NFT.NYC here with my new friend, Linda Liu. Can you please just start by explaining to people kind of your definition, how you would define NFT, non-fungible tokens?
So the way I think about NFT is, I think NFT is digital assets that leverage the decentralized, trustless open network, aka blockchain, as an underlying infrastructure that can prove the scarcity of the asset.
Tell me about the event. The event is at the PlayStation Theater, New York Times Square, and it's going to be on February 20th.
Yeah, I think personally, I'm just very passionate about knowledge sharing, and I'm also very passionate, obviously, about blockchain as a technology that I think is going to impact us for the next 30, 40, 50 years or 100 years, who knows. It's fun just to be plugged into the community and this gathering, and just to network and to meet with people who are passionate about blockchain and NFT.
Thank you so much for your attention. Welcome to NFT.NYC. This is the shiny VIP lounge at the PlayStation Theater here in Times Square, New York. And I am very excited to speak with you. Sandbox, my kids, I have 6 and 10-year-old. They are very committed to Minecraft. I asked my 10-year-old, hey, what would you sell your Minecraft account for? Nothing. Like, how about $10,000? Absolutely not. You wouldn't sell your start over. You can start over again fresh. Like, never. I've invested my whole everything I remember was in that. So, I think it's very interesting, and I'm excited for you to kind of share your pursuit of an alternative to this type of environment that's been created for young people to become master architects and so much more around innovation. So. Thank you for tuning in. We do appreciate your attention, and I hope that you are inspired by this brief fireside chat. So please introduce yourself and your company. I can hold it for you.
All right, okay. So hi, my name is Sébastien Bourget. I'm CEO and co-founder of Pixel. We're the maker of The Sandbox, which is an existing mobile games where you can make 2D virtual worlds. And we're taking this franchise to the blockchain as a 3D multiplayer game. Essentially, it's a decentralized gaming platform where creators can monetize their voxel assets and gaming experience on the blockchain. So we're disrupting what Minecraft and Roblox have established in the space of user-generated content by providing to creators for the very first time the benefits of truly owning the creation, which is something I believe really important when you're making something to be able to do whatever you want and take it out of the platform if you want, or allow others to interact with it, and fully monetize using cryptocurrency, your skills and your time, trading it and selling it on marketplaces.
That's great. December 31st, 2019, 10 months from now, what thing or things do you and your team want to accomplish this year that says, if by the end of the year we accomplish this, it really was a very successful year for us. This is our pursuit and our goal.
So already we've launched, our ecosystem has 3 main components. One is an NFT builder, the second is a marketplace, and the third one is a game maker. Last December, we've launched the voxel editor at voxedit.io. It's been already having great success with the 5,000 downloads, 65 artists who are creating thousands of models, voxel animated. So it's already a great achievement, and the community keeps growing. Our goal is to have over 1,000 artists and 10,000 models. Later in Q2, we'll be releasing the marketplace, which will allow to tokenize your voxel creation, put them on the blockchain for being allowing them to be traded and collected as ERC 721 or ERC 1155. And by the end of this year, our main goal is to release the game maker itself, where we'll allow game creators to utilize those assets made with VoxEdit, put them on a map, play with their avatar, and create all sorts of gaming experience, which could be a battle royale game, an arcade game, racing, you name it. Like really offering all unlimited possibilities to creator with the assets they make in this, I would say, like virtual world where you can bring creators and players together through a social experience as well.
That's great. So how did you find out about this event, and why did you come?
I've been myself speaking and evangelizing about non-fungible tokens in gaming and the benefits, more specifically for user-generated content. We have over 7 years of experience in the realm of UGC. And since last year, I spoke at, I think, 10 different gaming events related to blockchain and NFT. So NFT.NYC, we couldn't miss it. It's the first dedicated event of the year for non-fungible tokens. I really applied early on as a speaker, and I'm glad to be here today and see so much excitement around non-fungible in gaming, but beyond. 10 years from now, I really hope that despite the technical aspect and the wording of NFTs, it be just a mainstream adopted concept to own and be able to trade your item and utilize them cross-chain, cross-platform, cross-games without even having to think about this is blockchain, this is technical, I don't understand. Like, we're working to bring non-crypto users like 3D artists, like creators in Roblox or Minecraft to enjoy the benefits of it and use it without even thinking about the underlying technology. And, well, it has to start somewhere, and this somewhere and when is now.
That's great. What do you want to see happen with events like this in a season, in a year, like NFT 2020, right? What do you want? Like, do you want to see just like this? Do you want to see additions, subtractions, things morph? Like, how do you want to see these types of events develop over time?
I think right now the conference, even though it's one of the largest with 400 participants, 85 speakers, it's quite intimate and only a B2B event where people are developer or making infrastructure. The next stage is how does it become a B2C event? Imagine like Minecon or a conference that players go to and they start trading their items, game items, digital, of course, which would mean that we have achieved a goal, this goal of making it mainstream, and it will not just be a smaller niche of people who are aware and embracing this movement, but really be mainstream. Your kids could go to that event.
That's right.
It would be a great dream.
That's right. We should talk about how to make that happen.
Well, we'll be happy to grant them access to an alpha release, start creating, and see like.
That's what I was waiting for right there. Alpha release for my Duke of Destiny, my Prince of Purpose. You know what I'm saying? It's my kids are. So now you got me all fired up. I'm excited.
Me too. Thank you.
We're both excited about this.
Of course, we should be excited.
It's probably as animated as I've gotten today. I'm trying to keep my energy normal.
Check out sandbox.game, Proxedy.io. You can download it already, start creating, and tokenize your creations.
I love it. I almost want to mic drop. Let me ask you one more question.
Sure.
I'm speaking tonight, NFT 2024. 5-year predictions. That's kind of the final keynote. And it's the reason why I built this station was to ask you and your peers, all the VIPs and speakers that I could, as well as make all the promo videos beforehand. Those were all basically interviews, right? I did. And it's to find out, what do you think about this industry in 5 years? What are you building toward? What are you hopeful for? What do you predict? Because I'm trying to absorb from you so I can share that tonight.
Share.
That's right.
I think you're totally right. The meaning of right now, the industry, I feel, is still in a position where it's very everyone is helping each other, sharing a lot, since it's not competitive as other industry could be when it's still in this early stage of adoption, and that's a great thing, because who knows, like, we can be together soon we are building together toward the same goal. By 2024, in 5 years, I don't know, we hope that the market will be more aware and already using this, again, without knowing it's even the technology and without having to think about this speculative aspect that's been driving a lot of the crypto industry, but more in the utility of gaming, so traditional gamers. And more specifically to the sandbox, we'll be happy to have 1,000 of gaming experience live and having players and creators enjoying making revenue and maybe a living out of those games, and turning this passion into something bigger for them, moving from single development team to probably studios starting to build games. So that's hopefully the long-term vision by 5-10 years.
Yeah, I love that. One last question, and I'm going to take you back a thousand years. I know. I know. This is real. This is really it. But I mean, you got me all excited. So I'm going to take this one. So, thousands of years ago, leaders. So whether they're artists, kings, innovators, emperors, but the people that were real leaders, they would have a vision and they would build for things that they would never see, right? Like if a king builds a castle, that might take several hundred years. That means he's committing his kingdom and all the iterations of the kingdoms for generation after generation. He'll never see it. His grandkids will never see it, but he still goes through the hardship, overcomes adversity, makes the investment of money and the time and his people to build something for the future. Today, I feel like people in tech are very impatient. It's my biggest concern with the tech world. And because of that, I want to ask you about legacy. What castle are you building? What castle do you want to build with your career and with your time?
I totally agree with the fact that in the tech space, people tend to be impatient. Like, it takes time to create high-quality games with teams and to put all the different stones and pillars for the foundation of this future. And so the investors in the space seems to be missing the point that they need also to trust teams like ours to build that vision for 10 years or more, which could be thousands of years if you put it on the scale of the tech, digital tech space. Still, I think the legacy we want to put in place is we've had already millions of creators making something like 70 million words on Sandbox for the past 10 years. And I'm looking forward to have like 100 million of creation that will exist forever on the blockchain and be also interoperable. So eventually it's just the beginning of something bigger that I cannot envision yet, but other developers will appropriate and create even more interesting things into this virtual world. So in a way, like the biggest, most ambitious project that sometimes they go beyond what the original founders could imagine. And we are community-based, so I want to see the community appropriate what we are building and create on top of it.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
That was fun. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to go to a quick video and come right back with another interview. That was great, man.
Cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I'm going to take you up.
So can you tell us a bit about your topic and what you hope to communicate during that time?
The thing about blockchain gaming today is kind of like mobile gaming before 2000 in terms of infrastructure build. You know, it's very early. And I think there's just a lot we could learn from how mobile game developers managed to overcome, those obstacles, which I believe is just very, applicable to blockchain gaming and blockchain game developers. Just so much we can learn from that development, how they overcome those hurdles, and how we could, apply those learning to how we, develop blockchain gaming today.
So I'm going to be speaking on NFT 2024. For a moment, be a futurist and tell me what you think NFT 2024. Give us your thoughts.
There's a famous saying, the future is already here. It hasn't been distributed yet. So the way I think about, the future of NFT is that obviously we're still at, its infancy. The infrastructure is poor. Distribution channels, we don't really have decentralized app stores, and the talent that go into building blockchain gaming is still limited compared to, traditional gaming world. We just have like so many talent developers working on that. But in blockchain gaming, that talent pool is still limited, and obviously it requires different kind of, skill sets. Despite all these kind of hurdles, I think we have a bright future ahead of us. We just have to take a patient approach.
Welcome to NFT.NYC. We are here in the golden VIP lounge. It is so shiny here at the PlayStation Theater in Times Square, New York. And I'm very excited that you are giving us your attention. And I want to introduce you to one of the VIPs, one of the people that are here that are making things happen in the space of NFT side of blockchain. And the purpose of this is that gosh, there's several hundred people that are registered here. This place is electric, and there are 85 speakers, and so there's not a chance to really get to know people as well as this type of format. So please tell us about yourself and your company, and we'd love to get to know you.
Sure. So my name's Chris Robison, and I'm the community manager at Horde. Horde is a company that's working to create true ownership in video game items inside of the video games. So we do that through our free and open source SDK. So that's the short answer. Yeah. We have a few different products and things like that, but we got to speak here today about from true ownership to mass exodus, sort of the idea.
That seems like a path that's going to be taken one way or another.
Yeah, I think so.
So how'd you find out about this event, and why did you come?
Yeah, sure. So I was also speaking at Nifty, which was in Hong Kong earlier last year. Yeah. And Jody was there with Alex and Devin from OpenSea. So they were chatting about putting on this event back then. So I was aware of it, just kind of watched the conversation unfold and reached out to Jody and got connected. So
yeah, that's great. And how has it been? I mean, met expectations? What's the experience been like today?
Yeah, it's been good. I think the NFT community is pretty open-minded in terms of like blockchain in general and like what the potential is. It's a lot more creative and open to ideas that maybe aren't as robust as like the decentralized finance stuff that we're so used to. So it's cool to be around that creative environment, kind of see people collaborating in ways that that are exciting. So
yeah. And how about future events like this? What do you want to see them become? Like, what's your vision for NFT.NYC 2020?
Yeah, I want to see stuff that is really interactive and experiential when people are there. Like, we're all talking about creating these virtual worlds and these virtual experiences that are going to mean something to our real lives, and getting people together who are involved in the space in one place to actually be able to participate in it and experiment in that way, I think is the way we're going to find out what works and what doesn't, especially in the early days. Right. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
And for your company, December 31st, 2019, the end of this year,
yeah.
Like, what thing or things do you and your company want to accomplish this calendar year that you'd say at the end of the year, gosh, that was a real success this year?
Yeah, integration with games. So our SDK is going to be free and open source. That comes out in probably about a month. And we have some games that have been backlogged, like in our alpha stage, in our private alpha program. So those are going to be ready to go. We'll probably be able to release, I'm expecting, like one a quarter, which should be pretty exciting. But we're hoping that as we get those sort of out there, that there's going to be other projects that start building with the SDK, maybe without our help. Of course, we're willing to help, but yeah, just hoping that it builds momentum. So that's the biggest thing, yeah. Okay,
great. And is there a question you wish I would have asked you that I didn't? Is there something you want to tell us that I didn't set you up to do so?
Oh, man. I guess we could talk about like some of the, I like the question, like what you think is going to happen like in a couple years out. Yeah. We could probably even take the whole industry in that direction, kind of like go deep into the future.
Yeah, so for context, for those that just tuned in, I'm speaking tonight, doing the final keynote called NFT 2024, kind of 5-year predictions of this industry. And I'm seeking you and all your peers to kind of inspire me so I can absorb everything and then bring that tonight. So let's go out, like 5 years. What are you thinking for this industry?
5 years, let's see, probably, I mean, 5 years out, we're going to see people caring a little bit more about the collectibles. I think realistically what we're going to see is we're not going to see like super complex economies in games yet. I think that's actually super hard to do and takes a lot of time, and it's almost an emergent property out of video games and virtual worlds. But what will probably happen for starters is we're going to have something that will look like a true ownership minimalism, where it's worth just tokenizing the stuff in the games and allowing the players to sort of figure out their own institutions that are very ad hoc. Because when you look at video games now, the most interesting content is the stuff that players come up with on their own. It's stuff that the designers left out, they forgot to do, they never thought that players would need that, and the players kind of come together and they say, hey, maybe we should do this ourselves. And so I think just getting assets in the hands of players is going to be critical, and they'll start opening up their own smart contracts, and we'll see the starts of probably some kind of really rudimentary like governance models that eventually I think will be extrapolated out into the larger blockchain ecosystem. But I think we'll see the experimentation there in video games, and so yeah.
That's great. And I'll go, this will be a final question. Yeah, sure. Let's go back, way back. Yeah. To a different time where people had a different perspective, maybe more of a legacy perspective, right? So whether it's an artist writing a book that went on for millennia to make an impact, or it's a painter that paints a painting that, right? They never saw really the fruit of that painting being sold for $100 million, right? It was the investment of their life and time that was manifested over time. But the easiest one is castles, right?
Yeah.
So if you take the kings of old, they would have a vision. We're going to build the castle on this hill. That castle might take several hundred years to build. So they're committing their life, their grandchildren, their great-great-grandchildren, and they'll never actually see that castle.
Yeah.
They'll suffer for the castle.
Yeah.
They'll give their money up for the castle, their people up for the castle. They'll face hardship and adversity for the castle. But it's all for the vision of what is to come for their region, their people, humanity, whatever. For you, in your career, with your time, what castle are you building and why?
Damn, that's a really good question. Yeah, so I just had an awesome conversation over at F Denver this last weekend with some guys over there. And the thing that we were talking about is what blockchain can kind of bring to humanity potentially is something that looks like a trustless society, in the sense that like we worry so often about different bad things that could always happen to us, and what kind of mind does that put us in? It's a very defensive point of view. And so by building systems that are slightly more robust, more democratic, more fair in some sense, where we feel trust in it, or we don't even have to feel trust, I guess, it works. What does that do like across even just a couple generations in terms of like freeing up extra energy to consider new possibilities of like how to live and feel and things like that? So anything that we can do now, like right now we're just working on like the primitives to be able to even make that a possibility for future generations. So that is for sure like something that's worth focusing on. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Appreciate it, Ian.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for your attention. We're going to roll a real clip video and be right back with another interview.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, cool. Tell us a bit about your talk. So the talk is called Licensing NFTs, Lessons Learned from Working with Real-World IP Owners. So tell us about that talk and what you hope to communicate as you're on the stage.
So I've been doing licensing for a very long time, and I've worked with over 100 different brands in the digital space. So I have considerable amounts of experience licensing goods for a traditional virtual environment, which typically means a 1 week or 1 year or 2 year integration. And now we are in the realm where when you license something, what do you do? Because on the blockchain, it lasts forever. So we have all these new interesting problems, and we have all these different ways of constructing deals and making sure that it makes sense. And so I'm going to give a little bit of a peek into what does licensing look like for typical virtual goods, and deal in the blockchain space, and what type of things should I be including in those deals, because they are different.
If you guys are trying to pull off this big ambitious thing, people love ambition. So always lead with, our goal is to get 1 billion people to buy and sell NFT, because most people that are super successful are only motivated, like really motivated, if it's huge. And it's either impacting 1 billion lives, selling 1 billion products, making $1 billion. Like when you get into the category of 10 figures on something, it just becomes a much more attractive to people of success. Welcome and thank you for your attention. This is NFT.NYC. We are in the PlayStation Theater in Times Square, New York, and this is the shiny VIP lounge. I have Ray with me, one of the speakers, one of the VIPs here, and I wanted to grab you and invite you to come in so that I and the folks that are tuning in live stream and maybe the archive can get to know you and what you do a bit better. And so please introduce yourself and tell us about what keeps you busy during the day.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Ray King. I'm the CEO of Top Level Design, and we are the registry for .design, .wiki, .inc, INK, and as of last week, we won the license to also be the registry for .gay, G-A-Y.
Yeah. And how long have you been in the domain environment? Is this a very long-term part of your career?
So I've had a few different companies, and I did a traditional software company in the 90s. I was in the domain space from 2000 to 2006 with a company called Snap Names. We help people acquire domain names that were dropped by other people, like get first in line kind of thing.
Sure.
And then I spent 5 or 6 years in the wiki space, kind of away from the domain space, and the last 7 years has been back in the domain space.
Okay, and how did you find out about this event? Was it a relationship with Jody or OpenSea, and why'd you come?
Yeah, so Jody was a fellow new top-level domain applicant, and so he has .cred, .ceo, and had before .best as well, and so he and I were marching on the same path, and we had applied for a number of extensions and ended up getting the 4 that I just mentioned before. So Jody and I became good friends during the process. He's such a great guy, and of course he's got a lot of ideas and a lot of energy. So I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, fun. And for you, tell me, what was your expectation for this event, and what's the experience been like for you? Has it met expectations for you?
Yeah, it's exceeded expectation. So I'm probably a little different than most of the other folks in that I'm not really in the NFT space, right? I'm really the domain guy, and I was just on the panel discussing blockchain domains. So I come from the traditional ICANN approved process, and what's really interesting about domain names is that they're unique assets. So in a way, they're very close to the NFT space in the first place. But the question really is, could you use blockchain technology to kind of, launch a new extension without going through the ICANN process was, a little bit of the focus of our panel. And that is a very high mountain to climb. Very. For a lot of different reasons, because there's so much existing infrastructure. You're talking about like replacing,
$100 billion industry. It's not like they're playing the game.
Right. We're really talking about major surgery on the way the system works. That said, it's a really neat idea, but I think the blockchain technology does bring some neat ideas to the domain space. This idea of being able to use it as a wallet, this idea of maybe being able to add some more intelligence kind of layered on the existing system. So I guess the question is, what can be layered on versus, can certain pieces be replaced in their entirety? And I'm not quite there yet on the latter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, nobody really knows.
It's true. Yeah.
And I think that the people that have the strongest vision will drive toward making that a reality. And so that's why speaking about the future is always compelling for me. Tonight I'm talking NFT 2024.
Okay.
So it's the 5-year, either you could say predictions or you could say just hopes for this part of the blockchain industry. And what I chose to do is interview as many of the speakers as I could before the event. It's all the videos you see on the reel.
Okay.
And that's why I set this room up, was to find out from you and the peers here, what do you believe this industry could be, should be, you hope it will be, you're driving toward this, manifesting this in the 5-year period. NFT 2024, what are your thoughts?
Well, I just, listening to all the sessions today, I was, the thought that kept coming to mind for me was that you end up accumulating NFTs, right? And you've got this thing, and it kind of tells a life story after a while. And this might sound a little morbid, but I thought, well, maybe one day, when I die, I'll pass that along to my kids, and they'll pass along to their kids, and then at some point in the future, you might be like, oh, you know, you can kind of dig into the history and in a very, you know, kind of rich and different way than we've been able to do in the past. So I thought that was kind of a neat vision.
Yeah,
yeah.
It is. That's very cool. As far as, is there a question you wish I would have asked that you wanted to answer? Tell me. Now is your chance to ask your own question and answer it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think with regard to domain names, you know, do you see the how much of the existing internet infrastructure do you see maybe going away with either blockchain or NFT technology?
I want to know your answer. I'm the listener.
Oh, I thought you said a question that I should ask you.
No. What question should I have asked you? You answer that question.
Yeah. I think it does.
And learn.
I think it takes time for things to change.
Okay.
But I think the idea of being able to exchange value and put contracts in place, especially like when you sell domain names, for example, it's actually very difficult to like rent a domain name or to have an agreement where people pay over time because it's just difficult.
It is.
And yet a domain name is a purely, you know, it's a digital asset. So we should be able to govern those things more easily. So I think that will be greatly aided with blockchain and NFT technology.
Yeah. I mean, I will answer the question. I have over 100 social media sites.
Really?
Or accounts that I've built. Many of them have over 25,000 tweets or posts or whatnot.
Nice.
I've bought and sold. I haven't sold very many. I've bought, you know, hundreds of domains. Usually I just let them expire. I'm like, I'm over that idea. But I have several dozen. And so I certainly see the connection of a And we're back. Thank you for your patience and your attention. So I would just say that my thought on domains and on the internet is centralization strips partial ownership and definitely strips the peace of mind. Now for me, am I worried about my Facebook accounts, my Twitter accounts? Not really. But do I think I'm going to pass my Facebook and Twitter URLs and accounts that I've spent countless amounts of energy onto my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandkids? Very unlikely.
Right.
Now, if you take social sites and domains and you think about them as NFTs on the blockchain, that's a much more stable opportunity that would allow me to feel some sense of like real worthwhile investment to build things for a legacy perspective because it's decentralized and there's just a lot more trust and authenticity because of it. But
I would agree with you when it comes to the social media sites because they are private companies.
It sounds like it's a bit different for the domains.
Yeah, it feels like with a domain name, it's a pretty lasting asset, you know, until the nature of the internet changes.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be taken away, you know, arbitrarily.
Yeah, no, that's good. So we'll go back 1,000 years.
Okay.
To talk about the future. So here's how I'll frame it. If you go back 1,000 or several millennia, you have people of great influence and power. Let's say the great innovators, the kings, the artists, the emperors, you know, the greats.
Confucius, Genghis Khan.
The warriors.
Yep, all the guys, right.
Many of them had vision to invest their life, their time, their money, their people, overcome hardship, face adversity for something that would be a benefit many generations from their life. Like they didn't go and build a castle or go to war. and think, I'm going to go to war and take over the world. They thought, I'm going to go to war and take over this region, and then one day we will be a superpower. But let's just go to castles because it's much more peaceful. So for castles, a king has a vision and build a castle on that hill. It's a several 100-year project, meaning that him and his kingdom will invest their life into that castle. His grandchildren will. His great-great-great-grandchildren will, and they'll never enjoy it. It's just really basically this massive project that never ends until 12 generations from now. I feel like one of my biggest concerns with the environment of the tech industry, which I've been a part of in the San Francisco Bay Area for over 20 years, is impatience. And the sense like everybody's in a rush for everything, to be seen, to be known, to be heard, to make money, to have power, to have position. Like, it's always this sense of now. And I don't personally like that. I don't function that way. I'm like, there's a long life to live, and most of our life should be about what we do that we may not actually see manifested for our benefit. So my question to you, in context of that, what castle are you building and why?
So that's a good question. I'm not sure I have such a grandiose vision, but I would like to play my part in expanding choice. So .com, I think, is pretty restrictive in that people have to have longer and longer names to describe what they're doing, and to be able to use that space to the right of the dot to get a better identifier, you know, whether it's a .design name because you're a furniture designer or a graphic designer, or whether it's a .gay name because you want to use it as a personal site and you want that to be part of your identity. We want to give people more choice. A short identifier is a great way to identify yourself on the web, obviously, you know, websites, social media sites, things like that, but as well, also now the ability to exchange value. And that's why I think it's so cool to, you know, have been a part of this conference. Yeah.
Well, it was fun to interview you. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah, that was fun. Thank you for your attention. We're going to go to a quick video and be right back with another fireside chat. That was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. I learned. What do you project for the non-fungible token market, products, enterprise solutions, just consumer experience? Like if you said NFT 2024, 5 years out, how would you cast a vision around that?
So I think that we need to demolish friction. We need to make all the friction be a thing of the past, and we need to make it so easy that with the swipe of a finger, you're engaging in this ecosystem that the technology is seamless. And so we're not there yet. I think we're getting a lot closer. And I think the more that the benefits are felt from the blockchain and the less that the friction and the pain points are felt, then that will be really progress. And I think by 2024, we will be
there. You should be here because this is fun. Welcome to the golden and shiny room that we call the VIP live streaming experience. I am with my friend Tara. She is one of the amazing VIPs that is here as a speaker, one of 85 speakers, which is crazy in 12 hours, many panels with lots of people. So we created this space so that we could have more of a fireside chat type conversation. And we're going to just ask one question and one question alone because it was hard to get your time. I'm so thankful that you came. Here is my question. I'll set it up. Okay. We're going to talk legacy because most of my other questions we already did in a prior interview. Yeah. So millennia ago, a queen would have a vision, and that may be a vision of a castle. And that queen may make a decision. I am going to make a decision that for the next several hundred years of my kingdom, that me, my family, all my people, my grandchildren, my great-great-grandchildren, they're going to build something, sacrifice, go through hardship, and will never enjoy it. Because it won't really be built for 325 years. One of my great concerns about the tech industry is people are in a rush and impatient. And so one thing I think about quite a bit is castle building. And what am I willing to face adversity and hardship for that I'll never see the fruit of But if humanity can see the fruit of it in 100 or 1,000 years, it would be worth that part of my career in life. So my question, and only question, is,
okay,
what castle are you building and why?
I thought you were just going to let me retell my Taylor Swift joke.
And then you can tell your Taylor Swift
joke. Oh, my
joke.
God. So I really hope it doesn't take 325 years for me to build this castle, because everything moves so fast. And maybe it took 325 years and generations to make progress. But in the technological age, when we have, the blockchain is such a gift. And I think that we're going to be able to use it to reap the benefits. Right. And I don't think, first of all, I don't think it's grueling. Like blockchain and right now in this community, in this event, it's fun.
It's fun.
I'm psyched to be a part of it. And I don't think that there is grueling work. I don't think that like the engineers, they're not thinking about bricks that they're laying for the next generation. Like we're launching stuff and we're doing stuff and we're doing it tomorrow and today, and I think it's here.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift joke. I'm ready for it.
It's not,
I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Can I just give part of the talk that I gave in there?
Yeah. Here it comes.
Okay.
Hey, we got extended Tara time. You're welcome.
Okay. So maybe the people online will like this better than the people in the theater. So I was comparing NFTs to a concert tee, and I was saying, just like blockchain-based digital goods are real property, so are the licensed properties that you're buying. So I'm talking a lot about brands and licensing. Right. So imagine I go to the concert of my favorite artist, and I decide to buy a T-shirt to commemorate the occasion because it was like an amazing show. Right. And I spend good money buying official concert merch from within the venue and not from the guys selling bacon-wrapped hot dogs and $10 knockoffs on the corner outside the stadium.
Right.
I spend real money buying limited edition, authentic merch. Right. And I can take that home with me. It's my T-shirt. I can wear it. I can put it in my closet. I can give it to a friend. I can frame it on my wall. I could sell it on eBay to someone who didn't get a ticket. Just like NFTs are mine, my concert tee is mine. However, one thing that happens with vintage concert tees, I recently Marie Kondo'd my closet, and I just, in this case, what if my concert tee no longer brings me joy, and I decide to put it up on Poshmark, who's someone who's really into vintage Taylor Swift concert merch, right?
Sure.
Same thing with NFTs. You can put them up for sale at an auction house like Rarebits.io, and you can resell them to other people. Yes. So anyway, thank you for giving me the opportunity, and hopefully there are some Taylor Swift fans out there and some non-fungible token fans that can draw that connection.
I like that connection. Taylor Swift makes all stories more engaging.
Good.
Good job.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining me. We're going to roll a quick video, and we'll be right back. That was fun.
So we've seen there are really two groups of people involved in the blockchain over the last few years. There are those who are clearly building unique and interesting tech, and those who are speculating. And we'd like to see the heroes as the people who are really building amazing tech that allow small companies to publish applications on a distributed platform that persists for a very, very long time. And I mentioned earlier that there are many consumers who will only buy brands that they feel will be around for a very long time. And when you build an application, a non-fungible token or an application on the blockchain, what you're actually doing is you're building something that's going to be around for as long as the blockchain is around. And we believe that's going to be for a very long time. Blockchain is unique because it exists everywhere and nowhere. It exists on many, many servers across country boundaries globally. And we're now starting to see applications like coin.cred, which allow people to take their own digital asset. It could be my artwork if I'm a Portland artist, coinify it on the Stellar and Ethereum blockchains, and then send that artwork out to my fans, my followers, and get comment back from them on the blockchain. And why is this amazing? It's amazing because I don't have to rely on a social network that I don't own or a social network who's been selling my content for a very long time. So why are we running this conference? Because we want to we want to provide a leadership role in what we think is the hero of the blockchain, the non-fungible token community. We've seen some amazing applications. We're partnered with CryptoKitties, we're partnered with OpenSea, we're partnered with the people who we believe are the movers and shakers in the NFT space. And we want to bring the thought leaders together, the thought leaders of the NFT space together in New York at the PlayStation Theater, put their products and services up on a billboard in Times Square. And we want to say to the world, hey, you need to have a look at NFT as an amazing application on the blockchain.
Thank you for joining me for this brief interview that we're having about NFT.NYC, the big non-fungible token conference that is happening on February 20th inside the PlayStation Theater in New York Times Square. And so can you please both introduce yourselves and tell us about your company, Nifty Gateway, and then we'll dive into a couple quick questions.
Yeah, I'm Duncan Cock-Foster. I'm a co-founder and the CEO of Nifty Gateway. And I'm Griffin Cock-Foster. I'm the co-founder and I'm the president of Nifty Gateway.
What is your simple, high-level definition of NFT, non-fungible tokens? If somebody says, what's an NFT, what would you tell them?
I would say an NFT is a digital good that can truly hold value. That's one sentence definition.
Very simple. A digital good that can truly hold value. It's great. Now, let's talk about the event for a moment. So we're speaking at the event. I think it's that we're not just going there to have a stage, we're going there to learn, to listen, to network, to meet people, and see what else develops out of it. What are you most looking forward to at this event, and why do you think people should come and join us for it?
Yeah, I mean, more than anything, I think it's going to be the biggest NFT event in history. It's the start of an institution in the NFT world. I think everyone who's there realizes that NFTs are only getting started, and that in 10 years will be more of an impact than really anyone could have thought. So I'm just super excited. I think it's an institution in the NFT world.
That's awesome. Yeah. Duncan, tell me a bit about what you're going to speak about and what you're hoping to communicate in that talk.
Yeah, I'm going to be speaking about the endowment effect, and I'm going to be hoping to communicate how non-fungible tokens fit into the history of digital goods and how they truly are a 10x improvement on the digital goods that we've seen before, and how they're going to change the world.
It's awesome. And the final question is NFT 2024. Like, what's the vision that you're casting for yourself? What's the vision that you'll cast for your team so that you can motivate them to come and grind and hustle and make this happen with you by your side for 5+ years? And why should people get involved? Why should they be excited about it? Like, put on your futurist hat and take me to the future.
In 2024, I'm going to be sitting at my table for Thanksgiving with my parents, and they're going to say, Duncan, we believed you that NFTs would be big. We didn't know that they would be this big.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, we're just getting started. Like, you have no idea how big this whole thing is going to get.
So awesome.
That's what I think about 2024.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think in 2024, 1 billion people or more are going to be collecting NFTs.
Yeah.
I think by 2024, digital worlds will have surpassed the real world in terms of importance.
Yeah.
NFTs will be the most important piece of that architecture.
Thank you for your attention and welcome to NFT.NYC and the shiny golden VIP lounge with the VIP of the event, Cameron Bale. Cameron was very reluctant. I almost had to pick him up and bring him over. Cameron, thank you for gracing the live stream with your presence.
My pleasure, and it sounds like I'm the last one.
You're maybe the last one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to finish up after you, and then we're going to the main stage for the last 5 or 6 talks.
Perfect.
So I am basically done until my talk.
You can put your feet up.
Yes. So the reason I asked Cameron to come on is because Cameron is the reason why there's an event. He and his team, and it's not no man alone, but Cameron, you really did you were the running back, and the quarterback was hurt, and the wide receiver has buttery fingers. You had to carry the ball. You may have had blockers, you may have had good coaches, but you had to score the touchdowns. And they even put you on special teams, and they snuck you with a different jersey, and you played defense too. Yeah. So I just wanted everybody to know this is actually the guy that allowed you to enjoy this live streaming experience and have allowed several hundred people to register and come as attendees, and 85 speakers to come and have a platform to speak. So the purpose of me bringing you on is to say thank you. I honor you. Everybody here honors you. We are all grateful. A very consistent theme in all of the conversations here was the gratitude for you and your team. So that's why I asked you to come on. Anything that you'd like to share with the people?
Absolutely. Thank you to Ian and his awesome team. We haven't ever seen someone with so much enthusiasm and attention to detail in making a videography project so successful. So excited to go home and actually watch this myself. So like Ian said, in summary, we've had a fantastic day. We thought about 6 months ago that this was going to be a fairly quick event, a fairly short event. We thought we'd end up with about 50 or maybe 10 speakers and 50 to 60 attendees. We've ended up with 160 speaker applications. We've had 83 speakers go through the stage today on 54 talks. We've had 450 attendees, 18 sponsors, 43 media partners, and 25 volunteers. So it's been a huge team effort. And thanks to everyone.
Yes, it has been incredible. So thank you for joining me. We're going to cut to a video, and I'll be right back in just a moment. And so, Cam, thank you for everything that you did.
Thank you.
All right. All right. I've thought through NFTs in a 5-year and 25-year mindset. Like, where can this be in 5 years with the pace of technology? I think live sports could potentially be the greatest benefactor. Of course, I mean the fans of live sports and those that like to play live games that are live sport-esque, right? Not just video games, but play golf with Tiger Woods, play baseball against the best pitcher, play against Steph Curry one-on-one basketball. And when you watch Steph Curry play basketball, I imagine a future where his basketball is tokenized and every single shot is tokenized as a one-time token that's attached to a blockchain video game or several blockchain video games. You can purchase that. You can play that special move. You can sell that when you're done with the game. I've thought a lot through where this can go. I mean, you imagine the Olympics, right? Olympics, 2040. And you imagine the Olympics 2040, all those games are live. Every single experience is being tokenized, probably attached to the Olympics 2040 video game. And people are playing with the Olympians, and they're creating their own tokens from their playing. They're watching Olympians. They're creating them, collect them as collectibles or as, it's going to be very interesting. I don't think it'll be speculative investing. I think people are going to create tokens that have real value to themselves and those that they trade them to or sell them to, and there will be a life cycle of these tokens to have ongoing value based on utility. Welcome to NFT.NYC PlayStation Theater. I'm pretty sure you are 40 plus interviews for today. This will be brief. Jake, you are my friend. You have locked arms with me and helped make this happen. You handled a tremendous amount of work for me, and you along with another handful of people, and I just wanted to bring you up and say thank you. I honor you. I respect you. You're amazing. I just want you to tell people about this experience today so they can have an idea of what has it been like behind the scenes.
Oh, it's been awesome. Just the meeting everyone from all over the world that's here, that's decided to come here, and really what I love about this conference especially is just the atmosphere. Everyone's here to help each other and further each other. It's a real sense of community. It's been neat to take a part of it and put all the organization together and work with just a phenomenal team that we've all put together here, that you put together. So.
It's been amazing. You are amazing, and I want the world to know about it. Time to tag team out. Who's my next key team member that's coming in so that people can know that it is a massive effort. Cameron just said 25 volunteers, 80 speakers. I flew in Jake from Idaho. You came from Pennsylvania, Jesse from Reading, Raymond from Colorado, and Sergio from Europe, and that's just my tight team. Nate.
How we doing?
I love you. I have a list of reasons why, but they're private. I have to tell you later. So
sweet nothing pillow talk.
Oh, well, I was thinking more of a coffee talk. I was thinking like sitting down, not so comfy or soft. But
okay,
you know, we've been friends for a long, long time, man.
Yeah.
I mean, how about pillows on a couch?
Sounds good.
With other people around.
That's much better.
I mean, I don't know. You never know what could happen. But the point is how much I am grateful that you're here, bro. Thank you for coming.
I'm excited to be here.
You get all of this stuff because of Nate and the rest of the team. Nate,
yeah,
highlight.
mostly the team.
Well, whatever. Highlight of your day in the experience.
Well, first of all, I'm a very minor techie, so I love tech, but I don't know much about it. So being here with all these like wonderful brains is just so exciting to me because like they're so passionate about what they do and just wanting to share it with everybody else here. And it's just this buzz of activity going around, and it's electric in this room. Like it's
awesome.
It's crazy.
Yes, so good. Thank you for coming up. I'm tag teaming you out. I'm bringing the next in, and then we will roll to a video unless Sergio or Raymond are around. Jesse, my friend, who really kind of thinks of most of everything that we do. So you make things that are super bootstrappy and extremely chaotic seem like they are dialed. What have you enjoyed about today?
So I do a lot of events, as you know,
Yes.
and
Have for 20 years.
yes. I think my favorite thing is we have an event full of really smart people and really passionate and creative people, and I think it's really neat, and it's definitely rewarding to serve people who really care about what the work that they're doing and the impact that they're going to have.
Yeah.
And I think that actually inspires me and makes it worth it for me to actually just serve these people.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you for
Cool.
your service and all that you do. And we're going to cut to a video and be right back. If you guys are trying to pull off this big ambitious thing, people love ambition. So always lead with our goal is to get 1 billion people to buy and sell NFT, because most people that are super successful are only motivated, like really motivated, if it's huge. And it's either impacting 1 billion lives, selling 1 billion products, making $1 billion. Like when you get into the category of 10 figures on something, it just becomes a much more attractive to people of success. Thank you for your attention and congratulations on tuning in. I would like to ask my European friend Sergio to come over. Sergio, come on in. Come on over. This is Sergio. Sergio's been my art director, creative director, and in many ways a brother. For more than a decade, I flew you out from Ukraine because I just don't like doing things without you.
I know. Me too.
I know, me too. So, what has been a highlight for today?
The highlight of the last month was a discovery of the token that is non-fungible. I didn't hear about it before.
Until recently.
Yes.
That's
so
right.
I learned more today.
Yes.
And that's the main highlight.
It's awesome.
Because I think like 80% today, they are learning. They're still learning.
Yes, everybody's
still exploring.
This is verbal processing in many regards. So many of the designs, the banners, the things that you see in between things is Sergio's creativity. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, you're out of here. You're out of here. I love you and honor you. Thank you for being here. Okay, we're going to transition now. I'm done in this room. I'm going in the main room because I want to hear the next talk, NFTs for good, because I'm all about doing good with technology whenever possible. And you're going to see we're going to do a handful of talks on the stage. I'm the final keynote talking about NFT 2024. hang with me, text your friends, email, send telegrams, send smoke signals, let them know I'm going to bring inspiration for a bit on the stage. And so I hope you enjoy the next handful of talks. It's been a grace to have your attention and have all these amazing people come through, because today, as I've asked questions and listened, I have learned a lot. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Towards the end here, winding down.
Happy to see people still here. I thought there would be only the next set of speakers.
That's actually not a bad crowd.
It's a big crowd. I'm happy.
With that. Very nice. I think you got one of the most interesting panels here, folks. I'm a little biased in this, but we have to sort of rise to that occasion. Quite an interesting array of use cases in what we're calling NFTs for good. So people who are really interested in how we might use this technology to pursue, I suppose you could say, a social agenda and some big objectives that kind of go beyond some of the classic things we've been talking about today earlier in the session. Why don't we just go down the line though, and you guys can briefly introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about the particular project that you're interested in. The seating arrangement wasn't exactly how I wanted it to work, but that's okay. We're mixing things up. David, you're starting up.
I'm David Noble, and I'm one of the founders of GunClear. GunClear is a sovereign store of data using NFT technology and some zero-knowledge proofs to prevent leakage of that data and surveillance between gun transactors, buyers and sellers of firearms.
Yeah, I'm Arnold Waldstein. I'm an advisor and investor in the crypto space and without, and I'm a storyteller and community builder by trade. And I came to this concept here after being involved with CryptoKitties and Utile and Gigi Berson and a bunch of other people last year to launch the Hanu charity auction, and it's brought a lot of learning to me that I was going to share on this panel about where I think we can take this to a further extent.
If you guys don't know what Honu is, it's probably the most successful, at least financial story, which the funds that were raised for ocean conservation on Honu was the turtle cat, I suppose we'd call it, right?
Yeah, it was also on your slide this morning.
It was on my slide this morning, exactly. Nathan. Yeah.
So I'm Nathan Eapen. I'm a technologist. I'm an uber libertarian, a crypto evangelist, a mentor, advisor, and speaker. So my life mission after finding Bitcoin, I've made it to be that I want to increase the use of crypto for everyone. I spend my time teaching people to use Bitcoin or any of these things. And I found that the biggest problem is adoption, because we still have only 6 million wallets in use for Bitcoin. That's really small when you compare 7 billion people on this earth and with 4 or 5 billion with a phone connection. So my goal was to see how I can invest in founders, or I can get new founders to do projects that I would like to invest in. So recently I did a TEDx talk, and the talk was about how we can disintermediate middlemen or godmen when we are sending money to God. So based on that, I funded a company, and I've just been talking about it because I might fund multiple companies on that side, because we all know somebody who send money to godmen or religious places of worship, and these middlemen become very powerful, just like the banks and the cartels. They issue fatwas, they can change where you vote, they can issue, they can speak about where you should vote in an election, whether it's in the US or in India. And if you look at the numbers, this is one industry that's never been touched by technology. You got 400,000 churches in the US that collects more than $200 billion a year. If you go to India, that's like 3 million temples. I'm not even counting the churches and mosques over there, because when you have 3 million temples, That's more than all the primary schools, secondary schools, and hospitals and all that put together. So this is a very big industry if you really look at it. And for the first time with the Bitcoin thing and with disintermediation, you have a way of making these gods as tokens or non-fungible tokens, and you can worship them on a phone, and you can take the middleman out, and as a group we can decide where to send that money to. So that's something I'm passionate about.
Right, so you've got a fairly wide array of use cases here. And I think one of the things that we just in the green room were talking about, and Arnold mentioned this, is that there's this interesting belief aspect to this. And one of the nice things I find about NFTs is that they are, there's a subjectivity to them because the value is assigned, obviously, by a market, but it's this unique one-of-a-kind player as opposed to a fungible token that is much more broad. And therefore, you can think of how different communities and different belief systems can assign value and create value around what they care about. So we're going to drill down a little bit more deeply into, what these particular projects are about and why they matter. David, why don't you just walk through the experience of the gun owner and why an NFT, and also tell us a little bit about the zero-knowledge proof component that I think is really interesting here, and how this comes together to essentially resolve some of the concerns that people have for safety and security and background checks and the like.
So many of the issues around a gun ownership today centralize themselves either on gun control or gun rights politically, and it gets very charged, it's very emotional. What we're trying to do is provide an avenue for the digitization of all of that stuff that gets created in paper. Because in 1986, the federal government passed a law which says you can't have a database, a gun owner's database, or a digital registry. They were fearful that you would be able to be found by the government and have your guns stolen. And that's where that, not from my dead cold hand concept comes from. The gun owners particularly look at the government with distrust, not too different than the crypto community, not too different than a lot of communities when they're interacting with the government regularly. And therefore, we've had a series of stalls on any sort of regulation around guns. GunClear was founded as a voluntary participation between sellers and buyers of guns. When the idea around zero knowledge and actually CryptoKitties started to percolate into more mainstream media last year, that was the tipping point for us to really get going with GunClear, because it suddenly provided a technology that allowed you to record this in a safe and secure way from government surveillance, from Facebook, from Google, and own that data, be able to manage that data. The social good is that there's hundreds of thousands of guns that are stolen in America every single year. And if you don't own a gun or you haven't had a gun stolen, you don't think about it. But the great majority of gun-related crimes are committed with stolen guns, not guns acquired legally. We can always find an exception, but that's where the great majority of it is. And there's powerful disincentives to report a stolen gun. Namely, it's very hard to locate the actual owner of that gun. So why would you report it and risk any sort of liability? The guns then come back into commerce, oftentimes through a pawn shop or through some sort of peer-to-peer sale. And those items, there's no way for a buyer to know whether that gun was legally acquired or illegally acquired. For the first time, when GunClear comes to market, you'll have the ability to do that. And I think without zero-knowledge proofs coming into play, I don't think you'll ever see an adoption, a willing adoption by the gun community. And that allows us to preserve the Second Amendment while also bringing technology to an industry that's desperate need of it.
So one of the things that occurred to me, is that what you're capturing in the NFT and then protecting with this encrypted wrapper of zero-knowledge proofs is the gun's story, right? Its life cycle, and this I think is a key feature of the way we're all conceiving of NFTs as something very valuable here. That we need to understand the provenance of the transactions that we make with both the digital world, but what's interesting about all these cases in many respects, although Nathan yours is in the mystical world, is that it's this interface between the digital world and this physical world, right? And so maybe Arnold, you can pick up on this because you're talking about how we take this digital representation of value that can encapsulate a story over time and assign it in a practical way to the physical world. You've talked a little bit about coral reefs being tokenized perhaps as a way to incentivize their protection. How do we make that leap, and what are the key components of drawing that conception of value into the process?
That was a simple question.
Well, you would go big. It's the end of the day here.
That's
We're going to talk about God in a moment, so come on.
That's fine. Let me just backtrack a little bit. My passion point is simpler than yours. It's basically just environmental philanthropy. And so my belief is that, the only way that we're going to be able to take care of the planet and various things, whether they be species or the oceans, is if we find a way to economize this. And I came to this after a career working in storytelling and community building, but I really came to this is because when I did this project of Honor the CryptoKitties very quickly, what we did is basically we worked with CryptoKitties and we made a cat that was half cat, half sea turtles. We located some projects in the Caribbean that were protecting sea turtles, and we then built a massive community around this, and then we used auctions as a ways to raise funds. And what we learned is very interesting is that a really lot of people really give a shit. So it was a huge community, and in a very short amount of time, we touched close to 60 million people. And the story was good, but it just they just surfaced. They surfaced from the tech world, they surfaced from across the environmental world, all embodied in the emotive story of this icon that was on the CryptoKitties platform. So this was really positive and helpful. But what we learned is that when we went to economize this, when we went and put an auction at the other end, the entire cycle failed. Right. What we were doing is taking a community that had a lot of passion and using kind of an old school top-down way of raising funds. So what we actually had to do was go out and find an individual who was willing to write a check for $50,000 for us, and then we took it and we funneled to the communities. But the learning that came from this was that there's a possibility. The learning that came from this is that we can take natural things, whether they be reefs or turtles or any one of a number of type of things that are around the world, and wrap them in NFTs, which already have meanings, and break this friction between the offline and the online world, move them online into a community basis that you can come up with new ways to economize this. And for example, one of the things we realized was very simple is that within the CryptoKitty contract, you can only sell it once and it goes to the next owner. Like how simple it would have been if our CryptoKitty buyer sold it, and again monies could have come back into the charities, right? And again another person could have got a tax deduction from it. So the NFTs are kind of this tool, this attachment that creates this object for community and storytelling and game playing put together in a whole new way.
I'm glad you just actually anticipated the question I was about to ask, is whether or not there was this alternative to an auction to make this thing come alive would be that idea of the smart contract. The same way we were talking earlier about artists who gain upside every time their painting gets resold. The idea that the charity itself is also absorbing funds as the NFT moves from one participant to the next.
Yeah, I mean, to date, there's no way. I've spoken to every project, and there's a couple of really brilliant ones out there, and I'm going to join one of them as an advisor very soon. But, there is no ostensibly clear way to economize belief in little micro pieces that are seamless, as it is. A lot of the thinking is going into where this merges with various types of games, and these games become part of communities. So, and just as a point on that, all day long they've been talking about interoperability between wallets. to make this work, really, you need to have interoperability between communities, because you're not going to have this one centralized community. You're going to have a mass of decentralized people who believe in certain things for various reasons, and this object, whatever it might be, this one-to-one rhino or fish or whatever it is, to a token, has to be interoperable between all these communities' belief, and in that exchange is where the economy is going to happen.
Right. Yeah, this is the hopping between communities and hopping between chains kind of question. But it's really fascinating that you sort of focus on belief and community as a way to instantiate that value in the first place, right? That there's a commonality to it, which is a great segue to Nathan, what you're doing. And when you first described to me what this was, I thought, oh, I get it eventually. I was like, okay, God, how's that come into it? I thought, oh, it's just it's a charity transparency play that, you know, if you're giving money to a church, you want to make sure that it's going to good use. But you sort of pulled me back and said, no, that there's this conception that when you're actually giving the money, you are, this is your tokenized representation of the God to which you are granting money. That this is this ancient thing we've been doing for years. Can you break that down a little bit more, and you know how that becomes a value proposition for the devout people that want to make this sacrifice?
Sure. So in reality, gods or money, end of the day, is this collective fiction. It helps us build communities. That's what makes us powerful. And if you're referencing
Yuval Harari.
Yeah. So based on that, so in reality, we like those stories and we do this. But the problem is, in this particular case, for gods, which is a virtual fictional concept, we have made real life idols and places of worship because we are humans, we need touchy-feely things. All right, there you go. You have these things where you're sending money to, because you're assuming you are sending money to God for whatever favors that you have received. It could be mental peace, or it could be a wish that you prayed for and got it. Okay. Now the problem over there is it goes to this middleman. And how much due diligence are you doing on that middleman? Like when you invest in a company, you're checking on the founders, you're looking at EBITDA, you're looking at all those numbers before making an investment. But when you send this money to the godmen or gods, how much due diligence do you do? You practically do nothing. You don't know where they are spending the money, because you see that eventually some mega church or televangelist buy 5 jets or multi-million-dollar homes, and then you get pissed. But are you changing the way you're doing it? So here, and there are 2 things. One is the remittance part. There's a platform that can be built for remittance, which makes easy, cross-border remittance to the place of where you want to send it. It could be the place of worship. That's good. The second thing is the God himself. It is in a physical form. It's high time you bring it to the virtual form. It is a virtual concept. Bring it to the virtual form. Bring it to your phone. Like in Hinduism, there's a concept that you pray to a stone, the stone gets power. Okay, if that's the case, you pray to your idol, it gets power. Bring your idol to your phone. You pray to the phone gets power. Now you can carry your idol with you. Now as a collective, you can decide who you're sending money to. Where is that end point? Who gets that money? Because now you can choose. Do you want to send that money to UNICEF? Oh, by the way, UNICEF only sends 7 cents on a dollar to the kids. So maybe UNICEF is not a good idea. We've got to find somebody who send 90 cents or 80 cents at least, right? So there the voting can come as a community. You can decide where it's going for. And it is changing this industry. You've got to look at the numbers. You're looking, as I said, 400,000 churches, $200 billion in US, 3 million temples, another $100 billion over there. This money can be done or can be sent more efficiently than how it's being done today. What more do you need? And the main thing for me is I want people to use cryptos, and this is one space that's not regulated. Because if I start, trying to tell them about money and using this, most countries this is banned. You can't use it there. You can't give it to them. Like take India. They've stopped banks to accept crypto from the exchanges. So there goes that. They are choking the system. But if you're doing it through gods or something like that, nobody cares. They're usually tax exempt in any country. So this is a great place to start. You can get in adoption. For me, the adoption is the thing that I'm looking for. I don't care whether they use the God token or don't use any specific token. I just want them to use Bitcoin or whatever is that real thing that we are going to substitute for money. But this is the starting point.
David,
I was going to say that's one of the early stage thoughts behind GunClear was that the crypto aspects are so complex that people have to just believe, right? You just have to believe in it. And for adoption, you have to find people willing to believe, right? Looking to believe in something. And
maybe last word, Arnold, if you don't mind.
I mean,
where does that come in?
I think the intersection of belief and community and connection is what this is all about. And I just want to throw one little thing in here because it was interesting because I'm hearing you talking and I'm realizing for my needs, for the bias that I bring to this discussion, crypto is less useful than NFTs. NFTs are more useful for my bias because they're more benign, they're more programmable, they have value outside of a currency system, and they carry a lot of things with them. So if you really have a dream that you can get rid of concepts like philanthropy and insert concepts like ecological economies, you have to have objects that carry value, that transfer, more than you need to have currencies that create the money around them.
End of the day, it is faith, right? The first users in Bitcoin, they had faith that the rest would follow. So it is purely faith.
Right, and we needed a godhead in Bitcoin as well. Satoshi Nakamoto was effectively the god. All right, that's all we have time for, folks. Sorry, no time for questions, but round of applause for the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hi everyone, thank you so much to still be here. We are excited to introduce you our project, The Sandbox. I am Arthur Madrid. My partner is Sébastien Borget.
Hi everyone.
The idea here is to explain how user-generated content, UGC, has been extremely disruptive in gaming for the last few years. Ourselves, Pixel, that has been acquired by Animoca a few months ago. We have been working on a game called The Sandbox, where basically every player can create assets. So it's like a pure user-generated game where any asset in the game are made by players. We have been doing that on mobile for almost 7 years. We got 40 million install, over 1 million monthly active users. So we've been really excited to build a game completely made by player. So when we saw 2 years ago, we began to explore how the blockchain could extremely improve this user-generated content concept. So we decided to build 3 products. One product to make players create this content in Voxel called VoxEdit. Another product called the marketplace web-based and the game maker. But before that, I really want to convince you and I really want to demonstrate to you how user-generated content and content platform has changed, has disrupted the gaming industry. So with only these 2 games, and I would include Fortnite now, Minecraft, Roblox, and Fortnite has been able to really create, develop, and produce over 500 million creators. So over the last 10 years, the gaming industry enables a new kind of players, a new kind of way to play with no rules, with no score, just being able to create content, like digital Lego. So what we decided to do for the Sandbox is to focus on Voxel. So for some of you that are not gamers, I'm sure you can really understand how you can put in perspective Lego and the blockchain. So imagine how when you create something digitally as Lego, you can store it on the blockchain and be sure it's completely yours and give a value to it and make it as an NFT. So you may have found some other project that said, okay, you can do any digital art could be basically an NFT. But what we decided to do is to focus on Voxel, which make NFT much more simple, as Lego did. Like basically anyone can create something fun, a fun art, a cool creation using those cubes, and now using voxel. So this is basically how VoxEdit works, and how easy it is to use it. All right, so artists love it. We have been able to launch a $2 million fund 3 months ago. You can go to funds.sandbox.game, where we offer to artists to create their wallets. I think that's the very first step. You know, like when you work on the blockchain, the main idea of doing blockchain gaming is to create massive adoption. So our strategy to create this massive adoption is not to target developers, not to target players right now, but to target artists. Like basically to say to some artists, specifically voxel artists, to come to our platform, to download VoxEdit, and to get paid to create content and keep 100% of the copyright. We go step by step with them. We help them to create their wallet. We make them understand why it has more value to do it as an NFT, as a standard, as a standard GIF or JPEG. This is all the creation that has been done so far. You can see, as always, it's always much more creative than what we think. You know, when we build those tools, we're always impressed by the creativity of the community. That is always much higher than any internal team. So we have over now 100 artists. Our goal is to reach 1,000 artists. We now have 1,500 assets. Our goal is to reach 10,000 assets. So this is the marketplace that's going to be launched in Q1, completely web-based with scarcity. I will maybe let Seb explain a little bit more now about the NFTs. Thank you.
So in the Sandbox ecosystem, we are using 3 main NFTs. Sorry. Which are the land, which is a parcel, the map where you can use your creation to create gaming experience, the asset, which are being made using VoxEdit, our 3D voxel editor, and the avatar, which is the player representation in the virtual world for having social experience with other players. We are using a dual token structure, which involves both ERC-721 and ERC-1155. ERC-721 when the scarcity is 1, and the 1155 when it's above 1. The main reason behind this is gas fees, essentially. We don't want to have friction for creators to mint their token on the blockchain, and for example, if you mint 1,000 token, it could cost several $100 in gas fees. So it's something we are able to reduce thanks to ERC-1155. We've been adopting other standards in terms of blockchain features so as to reduce as much as possible the friction to enter and use wallet and blockchain technology for the end users, which involve EIP 712 for user-friendly message in the wallet, meta transaction so that they can pay gas fee using the same token as our platform, Sand, and scrollless transaction so they don't need to actually pay until someone purchases the tokens they have put for sale. In terms of blockchain gaming, so how do we combine user-generated content and NFTs together? We provide a virtual world where creators and players can come together and enjoy a social experience. The key to that social experience is to have your own avatar that you can customize. An avatar is made out of 14 body parts, and it will be an NFT itself. You can paint the face and customize all the body. You can animate it as well. Here's a short video showing how you can rig your avatar using VoxEdit and then customize it to your liking. The next main component is the map itself. So we'll begin soon in Q1 pre-sale of 160,000 parcel of land. There will be ERC 721 as well. And using both, you will have a lot of all sorts of gaming experience. Let us show you a few of them. Here's an example of a racing game. It uses assets made using VoxEdit from artists of the Creator Fund. Here's a space exploration game as well, totally different universe. And here's a Jurassic Park sort of exploration game where you can find dinosaurs, etc. So we're really excited already what's being made by our creators and some VIP creators who's working with us. And we are really looking forward to have more creators try out either VoxEdit, which is already live, or join for the marketplace using it as a gallery to showcase your NFTs and the game makers that will be coming later in Q4. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
If you have any question, let us know. And that's it.
How's it going? It looks like a few of you made it to 7:30, so that is awesome. Thanks for sticking around. So my name is Preston Atterbury. Today I will be talking about valuable NFTs and, more importantly, how we go about building that value. I'm the founder of Block Cities. Block Cities is an architecture collectible game. In the future, it'll be a city building game, all built with user ownership and NFTs. But before we get into that, I thought it'd be a little fun to dig up some nasty tweets about NFTs and see what the people are saying. So this guy is, he's starting out on a good note. Seriously? $7,500 for a picture? So apparently this guy has never been to an art auction, and he's shocked by this price. He says, "Are you crazy? How stupid is that?" In the words of Pomp, all I have to say to that is, I love when people bet against us. But apparently Pomp isn't a big fan of crypto collectibles either. He says they won't be a big thing because collectibles aren't a thing. Set aside classic cars, fashion, shoes, you name it. Apparently collectibles aren't a thing. But I don't need to say that because Tobia got my back. He said a good rule of thumb in crypto is to read whatever Pomp says and do the exact opposite. And what did Pomp reply to this? Of course, I love when people bet against us. So to Pomp, we NFT people, we NFT Twitter say, I love when people bet against us. So let's talk about building valuable NFTs. Creating value from nothing. So I think it's helpful to look out just briefly and compare them to traditional collectibles. There's an in-store buying experience, whether it's at the mall or you're buying it from a friend. There's a visceral, memorable experience in purchasing something. And more importantly is the unboxing experience. This is the moment that you decide, is the $1,000 that I spent on this Supreme hoodie worth it? When you take it home and you unbox it. Or if you're an iPhone person and every 2 years you get that new iPhone and you open up the box, it's that moment. Was this money worth what I got in return? But what I love about crypto collectibles is that they have unlimited use. You buy a classic car, you can drive that or not drive that. There's not that much use. You buy some nice shoes, they can sit on a shelf or they can be worn, and there's nothing else that can be done with those shoes. But with crypto collectibles, literally anything can be built on top of them. And they're super easy to sell. Most collectibles aren't valuable, but most marketplaces, most games have marketplaces built in, so if they are valuable, you can easily liquidate that. And the most important part is that they're everlasting. They can never break. They can never be left behind. They will always be there. And so this is the question that everybody is asking. When mainstream? When are all of these users going to come? When are we going to get 1 billion people buying NFTs? But this is not the question we need to ask today. The question is, how can we use NFTs that traditional collectibles cannot compete with, that current in-game items cannot even compare? And so this is my thought. You start with context, story, and experience. The first one is context. Context is what exists out in the world. It's the cultural, it's the microcosms, it's the Telegram group chats. And the easiest way to commandeer that is to steal it from elsewhere. Steal Like an Artist is a book by Austin Kleon, and he talks about unpacking this idea. So here we have Mickey Mouse, 1935. one of the most iconic characters in history, of course, done by Disney. And this is a modern-day Kaz sculpture, 2018. You can obviously see that there's inspiration there. As soon as you're seeing this Kaz toy, you have nostalgia for your past. And that's exactly what we want to do with NFTs. And so from this, that cute guy, and the cats that knock off water, we have CryptoKitties, breeding cats, and of course, the beautiful fire cat. The reason cats are so popular on the internet, this is what Alexis Ohanian says, is because cats never got to associate or hang out with other cat owners doing cat owner things. And CryptoKitties allowed cat owners to hang out for one of the first times. And so at Block Cities, this is what we're doing. We're trying to take the wonder and beauty of New York. The memes, the almost getting hit by a taxi, the not finding a seat on the subway, Kramer here and Seinfeld, and turn this into collectible form. A New York that you can build. And so if you're building NFTs, what you can do is you can play off of cartoons, past games, nature, and cities. The second part is story. Context is what's out there. Story is how you communicate that to your users about who you are. Story is the authenticity, the connection, and the lens of life. So I thought we'd look at a not good example of story. This is Crypto Countries. This was kind of after the CryptoKitties craze, and some developers got together and wanted to digitize countries. And I went on the website recently and I saw this, and this is just amazing. The most valuable digital assets on any blockchain, $1 million, and yeah. And this was actually just a copy of crypto celebrities. And so obviously this is not a good story. I can't take credit for this idea. So here's a tweet. Short and sweet, you need a narrative, you need a story, and you need authenticity, especially in the absence of raw utility to make something worth owning. An example of the stupid app that did Crypto Countries. But if they had gone to every country and worked with the government or locals to produce a collectible, the story would be entirely different. In the case of Nifties, the zero marginal cost isn't a benefit. It's an obstacle that you must overcome. And this is the point with NFTs, is that they're so easy to produce, it's really hard to get people to care about them. So what can be your story? In the case of CryptoKitties and Axie Infinity, they can be the secret lives, your NFTs. In the case of Block Cities, they can be real-world facts, because we're modeling buildings from cities across the world, and we can share fun facts about them. And, of course, the process and the artist. If you're doing a crypto art project, you can talk about how you created the work and the artist, as we've seen earlier tonight. And the last part, this is the most important part of creating valuable NFTs. It's the experience. The context is what's out there. The story is how we communicate that. And the experience is how we invite users to be the star of the show. It's the reason why we're doing this. And so there's nothing more boring than this. Just an NFT on a screen. It's cute, but I don't know anything about this. And so that's why I love the context that CryptoKitties adds on their site. They have a logo there to reaffirm their brand. They have these auto-generated names that put a name to the face. I feel like I know this digital object that doesn't exist because it has a name. And so we'll skip to the end here. So just some examples of doing a good experience. The final big experience you need to focus on is the opening experience. This is what we're going for here. And we want that reaction. If we don't get that reaction, we might as well not try. This experience is so important that Steve Jobs, with the original iPhone, patented the unboxing experience. And so we should too. So with context, story, and experience, you can build valuable NFTs for your projects. And that's it. You can learn more about Block Cities at blockcities.co, and you can grab me at the end if you have any questions.
Hey. We're going to keep this really, really brief. So, wait a sec. I'm going to get the slider up. Okay, I'm going to keep this really, really brief. I know you guys probably want to go home by now. It's been a long day. So I'm just going to give you a quick run through on CryptoKaiju. So to give you a bit of background on myself, I've been in the blockchain space now for around about 6 or 7 years. I'm a former miner. I run CoinJournal. I don't know if anybody knows that site. And last year I began working with Known Origin on a project that looked at how we can improve provenance authenticity for physical collectibles. So we'll start off with a couple of the well-known issues. We've heard them all today. Everybody knows the issues of current forms of provenance and authenticity. Easy to lose, very easy to forge. Best case scenario, provenance information is stored in a centralized database. Worst case, it's just paper records. It's not a great way to store this information. Classic example here, Jackson Pollock. He painted a few pictures for his mistress. When he died, his wife, or his estate, which was run by his wife, refused to acknowledge that the pieces were genuine. Again, just another issue of provenance. So, I've been into all things weird and wonderful since I was in my teens, just collecting various bits of plastic tap, some of which is now worth a lot of money. Yeah, I love soft plastic toys. There's a little one on stage here. Don't know if you can see that. So with this interest, I began to speak to the guys at Known Origin. I've seen the NFT space grow. I've worked on a couple of NFTs on Known Origin myself, so we started to look at if this was actually possible for physical art, in particular, vinyl toys. So, being the first to do this, it's not like you can just read a Medium post. There's a lot of trial and error that goes into it. How do you actually make a toy unique? How do we ensure that the physical toy is the same one represented on the blockchain? How do we stop people swapping the physical provenance? And how do we actually make a toy unique on the Ethereum blockchain? So, again, there's a lot of trial and error with this. There's original versions of it where we had numbers etched into the feet. That wasn't going to work. We eventually settled on NFC technology. Don't confuse NFC and NFT, as I regularly do. So the idea was that you'd pick up the kaiju, you'd scan the foot, as we can see there, and there'd be a serial number. Problem with NFC tags, in most forms of kind of stuff that you're going to buy off a shelf, is they can't store a lot of information. They can be easily cloned. But there are solutions to this. We work with a spin-off of Philips, who produce a NFC tag where the serial numbers are completely unique. They've got their anti-collision system in place to prevent serial numbers crossing over. The serial numbers are encrypted, so the tag cannot be cloned, and we can store a lot more information than we could before. So as you can see from this, that's just literally scanning a toy. You can see the name, Holly, which is named after my beautiful wife. The NFC ID, which is completely unique. So the other issue that we had was around the actual tag there, the kaiju tag on the left-hand side. How do we actually stop that from being removed? Because in theory, somebody could just take that off and put it on another toy, and then that toy would be represented. So to do that, we worked with another factory, and we built we basically got stickers designed that are tamper resistant. So the second you try and peel it off, it ceases to function. So how do we actually get this onto the blockchain? Like everybody else, we used IPFS for all the pretty stuff. So all the classes. So we have different traits. So particular toys have different traits, which makes them more scarce than others. Things like color. But then for the actual hardcore provenance stuff, sort of token ID, NFC ID, date of birth, which is just mint date, that's actually all stored on chain. We use some JavaScript to map the NFC ID to the token ID. Should be able to see. Can you see it here? Yes, you can. So if you look up the NFC ID, So if you look up the token ID and the NFC ID, they should match. So you can see token ID 126 there. That's and then the NFC ID is there as a hash. Okay, shit. Here's an example of it where you can see kind of everything in a very compact, well laid out form. So you can see the traits, you can see the color, you can see the actual NFC ID, as well as like the date of birth. So yeah, just we basically store all the provenance and authenticity stuff on the Ethereum blockchain, whereas the cuter stuff's on IPFS. So yeah, as I said, it was going to be really short and sweet. Sorry, it can't be any longer. Did it work? Yeah, it sold really well. We've had some great feedback. We've already had toy companies and artists getting in touch, just interested, maybe possibly collaborating in the future. We sold out in about 40 days, and the next figure, which is this guy, so this little prototype of him, will be released in March. Next steps of the project, we're going to kind of leverage the SDK, maybe add some more verification into an app. If anybody is interested in kind of collaborating, we're definitely open to the idea of possibly becoming, say, the Amiibo of Ethereum or the Skylands of Ethereum. So please get in touch. Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Ian Utile, and I come bearing gifts. Anybody want an NFT beanie? Okay, first hand up. There we go. How about, sorry about that, how about a black hat? Yeah? Okay, there we go. Liven up the crowd. Yes, you want one? I love people that sit in the front. There we go. Giving out gifts. I'm going to give you out the gift of inspiration and optimism. That's the gift I'm going to give you for the next 5 minutes. My name is Ian Utile. I've been involved with technology in the San Francisco Bay Area for about 20 years. And my passion is long-term building, castle building, right? 1,000 years ago, a king or a queen, they sat down with a vision. We're going to take the next 10 generations to build a castle that none of us will enjoy until there actually is, 300 years from now, the castle's being built. And I really hope that as time goes on and people become more self-aware, they realize how impatient they are. And they start thinking through blockchain in 5 years, and in 55 years, and in 555 years. And the world, the foundation that you're building, is very, very important. I think about the future a lot because I think about the past a lot. My ancestor, Lieutenant Moraga, in 1776 founded the city of San Jose and the Presidio in San Francisco. And for the longest time, I thought about what he did. And then recently, I thought, well, what about what I want to do? And so for this event, Jody asked me to talk about NFTs 2024, the future of this industry. What I did was I interviewed about 50 different people in the last several weeks to find out what they think. And I'll tell you this, it's all over the place. The vision is all over the place, right? It's for esports, right? It's for solving major problems around, systems. It's for physical sports, right? It's for all sorts of applications about where things are going. And the big thing is that people have passion and drive and the ambition to build something of great significance that maybe goes beyond your life, I think is a worthy pursuit. And that's my hope to give to you today, is that. And because you can think about all sorts of ideas to build to, right? We heard today about building faith as NFTs. What is it like when you start to take the faith paradigm that's so important to many people and you start to put that into the blockchain as a non-fungible token? Like, how does that change things? What happens with games? Like Olympics 2028 is in LA, right? So in the next 10 years, maybe even Olympics 2024, how might there be a blockchain game that when people play it, they're creating tokens with every single move they make? That every single thing that happens in the real sport, a token is created. What happens when a person that plays the Olympic 2024 game says, I'm going to take that terrible move where they missed, and I'm going to put that against my friend I'm playing against and make him not do as well? I'm going to take that move that was amazing. I did that three-pointer from the half-shot line in that, and I'm going to play that over and over again in the game. When I'm tired of the game, I'm going to sell it to somebody else. You start thinking through these applications of real-life integration. The point of NFT, in my opinion, that's so different is that there are applications for it, right? It's not just speculative investing, right? So if you play the Pebble Beach golf game in 2024 against Tiger Woods, and he's really playing, his ball is tokenized, and every hit is tokenized. And those hits, they go into a game. And you play the game at home, and what you do gets tokenized, and you can sell and trade and buy these different moves inside of games. Obviously, it's easy to visualize a game. You know, blockchain is so important because it will be a foundational thing for humanity and also for keeping technology accountable. And one of the great things that we as a community can do is to create real-world applications that are not speculative investing, but take what we're already doing in Minecraft and World of Warcraft, you know, and you take the things in sports games and you take all the applications that are centralized and you start decentralizing them and you let people have true ownership, right? And these things are accelerating at a very, very fast pace. We might see castles being built in the next 5 years in this industry. And I think those that are in this industry that don't quit will be the legends that people will talk about decades from now, maybe centuries from now. And so that's my encouragement to you. Jody, you going to come out?
I just want to thank everyone who's still here and anyone who would like to have a beautiful NFT.NYC polo while I'm still standing up, because Ian and the team have not had much sleep. And I'd just like to thank you guys. Anyone who wants a polo, please come up now and tell me the size, and I'll give you a beautiful polo. And he even has some hats. And then we're going to finish with William Etrican, who's going to tell us about smart contracts. And the venue has union labor, so we're going to finish exactly at 8 o'clock. So here we go.
You know, there's only so much I can say in the last minute. But as Jody hands those out, let me tell you, what I did was I recorded about 20 interviews before this event, and all that content is online and easily accessible. Today, we live streamed for about 10 hours, the special gold room over there with some of the speakers, and I interviewed another several dozen people and asked these questions. Events like this are to gather for us to network together, but they're also for us to capture the moment. And so I encourage you to go on to People Browser or NFT, the social media sites, and take a look at these talks that were on stage and that were over there. And my final encouragement to you is figure out an ambition that you won't give up on and push forward that. Build a team that will do that with you, and be patient to have the long-term diligence to make it happen. William, tell us how to create smart contracts. We are ready, my friend.
Check, check, AV.
It's not getting it to us. Are you mirrored? Separate display? No.
Do you want it separate or mirror?
Yeah, it's separate.
Separate. Good.
Let's start this one.
Yeah.
Stand by.
Okay. You want that scaled there? This one?
It's giving us 2K.
That's why.
Hello, New York. Hello, New York. Hey, look at that. All right. This is a 3-hour speech. I'm going to give it to you in 8 minutes. So right now, we're going to give you a rocket speed demo. So this is an entry-level course. A lot of people, we've seen a lot of talks here about tokens, about standards, about new technology, and this is good. But more importantly, we need to worry about use cases. So if some people here that are left over, if you've never programmed before, I will show you just how easy it is. So you don't have to look up to all the programmers in the room, and you can just look sideways at them. Because they're also very impressed with the way that you are bringing your audience, your message to that audience. So I'm going to show you. Announcing a new website. NFT Life, NFT.life. So we're going to see how simple these smart contracts are. So we're going to take these 2 lines of code on NFT Life. We're going to copy that. We're going to go to this thing called Remix. We're going to click Run. We're going to choose our new contract, which is called NFT token. We're going to deploy it. You just deployed a smart contract with non-fungible tokens. See? 3 hours. 3 hours. So I just want to show you that this is not intimidating. Unless you're coming out with some new features or you need 2,304 atoms at the same time, this is about exactly as easy as it is. If you're selling pictures of cats, pictures of other things, plush cats, plush other things, this is how you do it. So I'm going to go back and show you some of the gotchas so you get your money's worth. 3 hours. So a lot of people show up without a laptop. So if you're going to be involved in this community, you should be on GitHub. And not just on GitHub. You should have a full profile, including your email address and a photo that people are going to recognize you when you show up at events. They're going to talk to you. This is very important. I'm also a photographer, so this helps. Spend a lot of time on my self-portraits. But you need to be involved in GitHub, even if you're not a programmer. Going to need to write some code, so we will have a code editor. And we're going to have, I'm going to show you Google Chrome. Opera has some great tools coming out too, that came out last month. But I'll be showing you a Chrome-centric demo here. And even for veteran programmers, these are a couple good tips that will help you prevent losing millions of dollars. So first thing you want to do is you want to have a separate profile. Everything we're discussing today is also saved on NFT.life, so this is something you can refer to later. But I'll just give you the color now. You want a separate profile for all of your activities. The reason why is because you want to make sure that you don't accidentally pull up one website when you think you're pulling up another website. Now, what does that mean? Well, this is your problem. If you're doing any type of smart contract development, you are a target for phishing because it means you might have access to keys, and these keys could be worth many millions of dollars. We've seen a lot of hacks happen before, and we all know that phishing is the #1 attack vector for hacks. So do not use Facebook on Chrome on the same profile that you're using for smart contracts. Why? Well, the reason why is because Facebook, I've advertised, has anybody advertised on Facebook before? Do you ever see the number of categories you get? Male between 17 and 18, gay, prefers transsexual people. I'm like, did you survey the sexual preference of these people? No, they infer it. So everything that you do, they're inferring about you, even if you don't tell them. If you're interested in cryptocurrencies, they're inferring. So wouldn't a great attack vector be to just put an ad on Facebook for login to Remix IDE? So they go there, you fish, you just lost $10 million. Just drill this home. You should have a separate color, preferably banana colored, or something ridiculous whenever you're doing something important. So your production environment should be a different color. If anybody's been programming on SQL and you have a production environment and a QA environment, you always use different colors. Don't get lazy with Chrome. Do not skip the previous step. This is extremely important. I've seen people lose lots of money because they're just treating it, oh, you know, I'm going to wake up at 2 o'clock, deploy something into production. I'm going to wake up, log in, log out. No, You need a separate environment for all of these things. So we use MetaMask. The teams that I've been working on, use this as a deployment tool. Remix IDE is great. Truffle is great. A lot of people get hooked with Remix because it is so quick. And you always want to use test network. You should pick one and you should stick with it. This will help you because these contracts, you can compare them. Sometimes the different test networks run different software. So they just recently did an upgrade in January. This big upgrade that was canceled, we're not going to talk about that. But this big upgrade happened on Ropsten first. So if you're doing one network test on Ropsten, you're doing another on Rinkeby, it's different software. So you're going to have all kinds of problems. The contracts are going to have different gas prices. There's going to be different block gas limits. It's bad news. So the simple news is just pick the network and stick with it. So, okay, this is a very noob step. And so I had some great quotes from today. So do I have my sheet here? I heard, killing me, Smalls. So I loved a couple quotes. Sorry, I'm not going to attribute them. I heard, don't call them NFTs, call them ownership. Call them collectibles. Don't call them blockchain, call them assets. Don't worry about technology, worry about games and user experience. This is really important. For NFTs, we've talked a lot about games, but we've also talked about artwork. So I'm just going to walk you through a new workflow, which is different than CryptoKitties. So somebody starts with a token, and this token represents a physical thing. So we've seen this. Now, this method here is anything that is not on the blockchain. So those pixels and atoms we saw earlier today, the 20 by 20 blocks, those are not controlled by the smart contract. So they are external to the contract, which means there's an element of trust. When you send the tokens, the trust follows. More important than which token standard you choose or how you implement it is how can people be confident that they're going to receive the thing that they paid for? This is extremely important. This should be the first thing you think about before you write a white paper. So NFT.life, that is the page that has the thing you just, all these slides you just saw, that's where they are. And I promised everybody I was going to put Sue squares up on the screen because a couple of you just got new logos on there. And there you go. That's it. But there's one more thing. Okay, there's a quick demo. Heard a lot of interesting things today. We just saw a new token standard relating to a Mobius strip. We saw pixels with 20 by 20 pixels here. We saw a lot of things. So today I'm going to introduce something new that some people have been talking about. And I had this great exhibit slide. Well, everybody loves tokens, so we put tokens in your tokens, so you can use tokens while you're using tokens. So I'm going to show you batch tokens. What is a batch token? A batch token is a contract and it's going to own other contracts. These are NFTs that own NFTs. So we've seen some work on this before, but nothing's published. So let's get this one here. This is really difficult to do. How many tokens do we want? The limit on OpenSea is currently 30 to do a bundle. So how many do you want? 30,000. Got it. This is not, we're going to add a 0 there because this is not compressed. I'm going to launch it. So we now have a token that owns 30,000 tokens, just like that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to see who owns that. This is a new proof of concept, and so the way this works is this is a single token contract that was just created very cheaply with 30,000 tokens in it. we're going to find the token owner of the first token, numbered 0. That is 0xCA, which is us. And we can send it to somebody else. Also, this owner of tokens is itself an NFT. So we can take that, we can take the child contract, copy that, and we can access it as an NFT. And the NFT has a total supply of, or a balance of, 30,000. That's how many tokens we just made like that. So I just wanted to give you something a little exciting, a little in the future, so that you can see. But let's just talk about what we just saw here. We just, well, it wasn't 5,000, it was 30,000. We just saw 30,000 tokens created out of thin air. And this is addressing one of the issues of scalability that we have. And just want to give credit to the people whose ideas this came from. This is a compliant ERC 721 solution. XKCD inspired us for having very large numbers where enough nanobots to eat the earth. 998 is a standard for having tokens that own tokens. This is inspired-ish. And 1167, oh, I left out the best part. This is a proxy contract. So in order to deploy these very large-scale items, you just need to copy an existing implementation. This is something that was just standardized very recently, a couple weeks ago. And this is, I think, the first public implementation of that. So again, NFT.live, you can read more about that. Here's my email address. And if you have any cred coins with my face on them, I will trade them for Sue Squares. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you so much for doing your one-day training course in, what, 15 minutes? You're a star. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, everyone, for staying so late. It's been an amazing conference. We've ended up with over 400 attendees during the day, and you guys get the prize for being the last to leave. So thank you, and I hope we get to do this again, and it's been a privilege for us to do this in New York City. Thank you, guys.